Happy birthday. Good evening.
All right. We are getting ready. Let's see. Um, one, two, three. Who we missing? We missing one to get started. We'll get started. Look like we got a exciting jam-packed audience with us tonight. I think they're here to hear about vaccines. So I'm excited that they're all here to hear about this vaccine presentation that's on the agenda. That's always a good thing. Brent, how you doing, sir?
Doing well, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Got a lot of ice out where you at, or you on the
Oh, man.
Pacific coast?
We have more than our share. Definitely more than our share.
That's
I'm getting used to shoveling.
All right, we have let me check on one. I need one more council member to show up so I can get started. I can't start with less than 4. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. So good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday, February 16th, and I will call this meeting officially to order. Lisa, can you take the roll of council, please?
Councilman Brown.
Present.
Councilman Fields.
Councilman Fields is commuting. He'll be late.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Miles. Councilwoman Neville.
Present.
Councilman Pete. Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Mayor Wood.
Present. We'll have a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. All right, if you would, indulge me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next on our agenda is going to be the adoption of our agenda. All right, any discussion on the adoption of our agenda? All right, seeing none, I welcome a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Move.
All right, it's been moved by Councilman Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Neville. Any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, I will do a verbal. All right, Councilman Fields.
Yes.
All right, Councilwoman Neville.
Aye.
Okay. Who am I missing? Councilman Brown. Did I get you?
Yes.
Okay. Vice Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, and that's a yes for me. Did we capture everybody, Lisa? You got Councilman Fields here?
How about Councilman Pete?
He is not here, so he's absent right now.
Okay,
All right. All right, so the agenda carries 5-0. No, 5-0. 5-0. All right, I'm looking at a lot. Next on our presentation is an award and proclamation for Black History Month. Town manager, you want to lead this one?
Yes, sir. I will read the proclamation into the record. Proclamation recognizing Black History Month. whereas the month of February is nationally recognized as Black History Month, and whereas during this time, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development. And whereas for generations, the story of American progress has been shaped by the inextinguishable belief that change is always possible and a brighter future lies ahead. And whereas we celebrate giants of the civil rights movement and countless other men and women whose names are etched on the cornerstones of our country. And whereas in 1915, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, noted scholar of Harvard University, trained historian, and son of former slaves, founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, with the intent of raising awareness for African Americans' contributions to civilization. And whereas Dr. Woodson initiated Black History Week beginning February 12th, 1926, and for many years following Black History Week was celebrated during the second week of February. And whereas in 1976, as a part of the United States of America's bicentennial, Black History Week was expanded and established as Black History Month. In that year, President Gerald R. Ford urged Americans to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas we understand that more than 400 years ago, the first enslaved Africans in English-occupied North America were brought to Virginia, and whereas despite constant adversity throughout American history, African American culture and heritage is continually strengthened each generation. And whereas the national theme for Black History Month 2021 is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. And whereas the Black family is diasporic, knowing no single location, but stretching across states, nations, and continents. Whereas the complexity of the Black family offers a rich tapestry of images for exploring the African American past, present, and future. Now, therefore, be it resolved and proclaimed that the town of Dumfries hereby celebrates February 2021 as Black History Month.
Thank you, Town Manager. All right, next on our agenda is the approval of our February 2nd, 2021 minutes. Any discussion, council? Everyone had opportunity to review it. Any additions or changes to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, I welcome a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, so is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by the Vice Mayor. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, please note Councilwoman Miles has joined us as well. We're going to call for the vote. Councilwoman Miles?
Aye.
Councilman Fields?
Aye.
Councilwoman Neville?
Aye.
Councilman Brown?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
That's a yes for me. The motion carries 6-0. All right, next on our agenda is citizen comment period. All right, we ask that citizens who want to speak raise their hand. We're going to allow you 2 minutes to speak, give your name and address for the record. On our agenda tonight, we have presentations only for our COVID-19 vaccines, and we have a presentation of possible expansion in the town of Dumfries of Colonial Downs Group and a town manager's report, as well as a few action items. So you can comment for up to 2 minutes. Please state your name and your address for the record, and we will then call on you. All right, so we're gonna now open it up for citizen comment period. And here, it go to the top. All right, so was there any citizens? Town manager, did you see any citizens? Okay, that wanted to comment about things on the agenda? Okay,
Sir.
all right. I'm gonna assume nobody wanted to speak. Good. No one raised their hand. We can move on. All right. Next on the agenda is reports. Note, Councilman Pete has joined us, please, for the record. First report is the COVID-19 vaccination efforts. We're going to talk to the Deputy County Administrator, Mr. Elijah Johnson. Thank you for being here tonight, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the invite, and thank you, Mr. Rogers, for giving us a call. Tonight, we want to give you an update on the COVID-19 vaccine rollout. I will tell you tonight that you received the last week's update that we did with the board. I'm going to share what we did today. Did you? Yes, you got it. Great. So I'm not Brian Myers. Brian Myers is our emergency management coordinator. He did an update with the board today. We're going to show you that same update that we did. Going to talk about a little bit about where we are in reference to positivity rates tonight, and then how we're working with the health districts and what changes are happening with the state for the vaccine rollout. Next slide, please. This slide, just before we get into vaccine, we always give an update to the board on what our positivity rate is for the health district. Right now, we're at, as of the 7-day average, is at 11.4% as of February 12th from this slide. We will always want to keep a track of where we are with the testing and with the positivity rates. And we'll also tell you guys, we go back to that slide before you go there, sir. We still are doing testing 6 days a week. Tomorrow, just for your note, if you go to our county website, it lists all the free testing sites. And we've been testing at Grace Church for the past several months. And tomorrow we'll be there between 9 and 1 p.m. until supplies last. We have capacity to do 200 tests a day at each site, and we're doing 6 days a week. So if your residents are looking for a free test, I definitely encourage them to go to our website and go to one of those testing sites and get those tests. It's a great partnership we have with Centera Hospital System. Next slide, please. I want to just talk about the vaccine and the phases that we're in the vaccine rollout with the state. The health department, we are working in conjunction with the health department. When I say we, I'm talking about the county and the 2 cities of Manassas and Manassas Park. Emergency management work in coordination with the health department. We're in a support role. The state and the local health district are the leads in this effort. The county is supporting those efforts and providing resources along with the 2 cities to make sure the vaccine rollout happens. As you've heard a lot about the different phases that people are in, phase 1A, 1B, and 1C. As you can see here, we are currently in phase 1A, and that's serving the healthcare workers and long-term care facilities. And that was primarily focused on hospital systems, our first responders and the fire and rescue systems, EMS workers, and long-term care facilities that had a high rate of positivity and a high death rate. And those are guidelines that came from the CDC when they set those in December. The state adopted those guidelines and we've been following those. As the governor announced a few weeks ago, we were entering into phase B, and Northern Virginia was entering into phase B. We're currently, as you can see, in phase B 1, 2, and 3, serving those category of workers, your police, other fire workers, hazmat workers, correctional workers, homeless shelter workers, and teachers in pre-K, and that includes teachers in both public and private schools that we're serving at this time, and childcare facilities. At the same time, you've heard a lot about your folks who are 65 and older. We're in that process. They can sign up and be served. People living in correctional facilities or homeless facilities, we're working with the health district to get those folks vaccinated as well. And those folks who have underlying health conditions that are age 16 to 64. Currently, these are the categories that we're in progress in the health district. And I'll get into more what's going to happen next. As you've heard, the state is transferring over how they are pre-registering folks for vaccinations in the Commonwealth. Next slide, please. Some of you may have seen this information. This is statewide information on the vaccine dashboard that the state has. We always bring and update the board on this. But if you want to go check this information is readily available at the state vaccine website. You can pull this information up. This talks about the total amount of vaccines coming into the states thus far. Remember, this is total amount, meaning everything received from directly to the state and to the hospital systems and to support the long-term care facility vaccination that occurred in phase 1A. So this is everything coming into the state, not necessarily everything that the state had control over itself. Of that number, you'll see that 178,000 of those doses went directly to long-term care facilities, which reduced the state amount that they had control over to 1.6 million doses. And that included first and second doses that the state have received. Next slide, please. To further break that information down, you will see here that long-term care facilities, that 178K, how many doses have been administered to folks in that category by the, and those doses were administered not by the state, but by CVS and Walgreens. They contracted directly with the federal government to do that program, and that program still continues today. We'll talk a little bit more about what the pharmacy program that the feds are doing with the, as they move forward with the Biden administration. But that was to take care of that 1A group, as you see at the top. Then the state-controlled vaccinations, we're talking about first doses here and second doses. The state received direct doses of Moderna and Pfizer doses, and this illustrates what they received and how many have been administered in the first and second dose category. Next slide, please. This gets to break it down a little bit further. Where did those doses go to in the state? Who received those doses? As you can see here, the hospital systems received a large amount of those doses initially because they had to vaccinate their healthcare workers and folks that worked in their particular facilities with some of their staff. Then you went to the local health departments, and you will see medical practices, some here, the category that they have, and then other community health providers. And a lot of those were local pharmacies. The health district worked closely with local pharmacy here, the free clinic, and we have a good relationship with Safeway and some of the local pharmacists here that the health district works with. You will notice, if you look at medical practices, you will notice is the doses received directly by medical practice is smaller than those administered. The reason for that is health districts redirected some of their doses to those folks, and the amount that got redirected to those organizations were not captured in the direct doses received. And that's why you have a higher number of administered, because the health district got doses in, they reallocated some of their doses to those organizations. So that's why you see the higher number of doses administered. Next slide, please. The same thing for second doses, where the state stands, where the particular organization stands and administers second doses. The key thing is to remember the federal government provides the state with first and second doses. With those allocations, we must vaccinate folks, of course, in the first dose, but also keep some on hand to take care of folks when they're second doses. And there's two types of vaccines that's coming in from the feds at this point that's been approved by the CDC and the FDA. There has been the Pfizer dose that requires the real screen freezer space to handle those doses, and those have primarily went to the hospital systems. And then the Moderna doses that doesn't require that level of temperature at those extreme levels, but does require care, have gone to the health districts. Next slide, please. This slide, the key focus on this slide is we want to focus in on the local, what happened in the Prince William County Health District. If you could see off to your right-hand middle of the page, right next door to the state logo there, you see the health district has administered 50,000 doses, and they have fully vaccinated 11,000 folks, and that's statewide. That includes your hospital systems, that include long-term care facilities, and that includes what the health district has done. In the next slide, we'll talk about exactly how many doses the health district have received and where those doses have gone. Next slide, please. Here, as of probably 3 weeks ago, the state changed up how they were allocating vaccinations to local jurisdictions. As I indicated, a lot of the vaccines, the Pfizer, particularly the Pfizer vaccine, was going directly to the healthcare system, meaning Novant and Centera Healthcare System and Inova Healthcare Systems. You probably heard in the news a couple of weeks ago where a lot of the healthcare systems, specifically Novant, because they were doing a lot of vaccinations for this North Virginia area, said they were stopping appointments and counseling appointments because they were no longer receiving direct doses from the state. The state has complete control over who gets the doses, how much they gets the doses, and how they allocate those doses. Currently, they're allocating doses based on population rates. So the health district receives an allocation of Pfizer doses, and the health district receives an allocation of Moderna doses on a weekly basis. They put in a request, the state fulfills that request based on that population numbers. Currently, all of the Pfizer doses are going to Novant to support vaccinating all of our public school staff and teachers, as well as to do those folks that is going through Novant. Novant works directly with the school systems to set up the clinics, to run those clinics. They are all handled outside of the health district's operations, but they're reporting back, they're receiving their vaccines through the health district. So 100% of those doses are going there. And its numbers escaping me right now how many there's, but I believe that's about 2,900 a week that's going to support that effort. And the health and Novant has working with City of Manassas school system, Prince William County school system, the City of Manassas Park school system to vaccinate all their staff. As you know, it's been very important to get those teachers and staff vaccinated so that they can continue with their reopening plans. The health district itself receives and then administers the Moderna doses. And that means they receive some in, they administer at our 3 clinics that we operate. As where we were operating at Beacon Hall, we have just moved to the Manassas Mall site as of today, and we're currently operating out of Potomac Middle School. Up through February 13th, the health district had received 24,250 doses of Moderna. Of that, they've either administered or transferred to community partners, meaning pharmacies or the health-free clinic, 18,720 doses. So that left going into this week, only 5,530 doses available, first and second doses to be administered to the public. They received an additional allocation of 3,100 at the beginning of the week, and they reallocated 2,100 going to their community partners to administer in the community. One of those community partners is Safeway that operates at Veteran Parks, and they take folks off of our waiting list and vaccinate those folks on behalf of the health district. And they kept 1,000 back to assist them with what they had planned at their workshops. As you can see, going into this week, we had capacity to do 3,600 doses. Of course, that's weather depending. We've been challenged with the weather these last couple of weeks here, where we've either rescheduled folks or had to cancel appointments, but we monitor the weather situation. But we had capacity to do 3,600 doses this week with the 6,000 doses that the health district has. And a lot of those doses that are not being scheduled for this week are second doses that we have to keep on hand to schedule folks so they come up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Next slide, please. As part of this effort, we continue with our long-term plan and assumptions and working with the health district based on what their needs are and what their capacity is. As I indicated, we were operating at Beacon Hall at George Mason University campus. We are just transitioning over from Beacon Hall to the Manassas Mall. We work with the health department to secure a location at Manassas Mall that will give us more capacity than we had at Beacon. Right now, we're operating 12 stations with the capacity to go up to 30 stations at that location. And it's a more long-term leasing relationship in reference to what our abilities are. Our Beacon Hall relationship was going to end at the end of March. So moved forward with helping them get additional capacity and space. We're also currently in negotiations with another location on the eastern end of the county because we know we're not going to be able to stay at Potomac as schools reopen. So we are working to secure another large facility on the eastern end of the county to accommodate that move. As I indicated, we're working with Safeway. Safeway is doing approximately 800 doses a week at Veterans Park. They are working through booking through our wait list that we established for the health district, and they're doing both first and second doses. You've heard a lot about the new program that the Biden administration put into place in their federal retail pharmacy partnership. Currently, CVS is the only pharmacy in Virginia that's operating this program currently. We have heard that they are looking to expand to other partners and other locations within CVS network and possibly within other pharmacies in this program. We think this is a good move on the federal government part because it gets vaccination sites within communities into neighborhoods where the health district may not have the ability or capacity to do. Right now, the location that was chosen by CVS is the Gainesville location, but the state did indicate they are accepting as they look to expand with CVS. They will take recommendations for other sites in the community. Folks who are looking to sign up for the CVS site just have to sign up through this website here. CVS handles all of the registration process and reports their information back to the state. So this is a partnership between the Fed, CVS, and they work in conjunction with the state VDH office. The local health district does not have any control over how that process works. We continue to work with the health district to do manual booking as we transition over to the state website for pre-registration. You go to the next slide, please. As of 5 o'clock on Friday, the state, all the health districts except for Fairfax County got moved to the state pre-registration list. What that means is our local registration process for folks to sign up was no longer available. Folks would have to go to pre-register on the statewide list. The state has taken all the information. As you can see here, we currently had over 52,000 people needing the first dose appointment on that waiting list, with another 10,000 needing the second dose. All of those names have been given to the state. The state is assuring us that they're going to take those people in order and nobody will lose their place on the list. And they're going to aggregate that data from all across the state, from every health district. And they're supposed to be able to have the capacity to provide weekly updates to people on the list, to let them know what status they are, that they're still on the list, even though we may not have gotten through them. The state is estimating, based on their current allocation from the federal government, that we will not get through phase 1B until 3 to 4 months. So we are working closely with them. Everything is dependent on the amount of vaccine they get in from the federal government. We hope that we see that the feds are looking to increase that. The state hopes that they can get increased doses so that they can administer more vaccines. The state has also set up a call center. And this is the number here for folks on the line who are looking to call the state to get more information. If they have a question about the pre-registration process, they definitely would do that. We will continue to maintain a call center here to support the local health district in answering testing questions and assisting them with scheduling appointments as we get information back from the state on who's next to be vaccinated that's on that state waiting list now. Next slide, please. The last thing I want to touch on is here, we're starting a local campaign, encouraging folks, number one, to not forget to continue to mask up. We want you also to social distance, and we will also start a campaign to encourage folks to get vaccinated when their turn. We understand that there are apprehension in certain communities in the county, and we're working with the health district and going to be working with our local partners to get information out to make sure people understand how to sign up with the state list now that it's gone to a statewide pre-registration list. Make sure they get on that list and make sure they're signed up to get the vaccine. There's been a lot of talk in the community about reaching out to our minority communities and our immigrant communities. This is one of the first tools that we're using to try to reach those organizations, and more information is going to be coming out about this program so that folks can get signed up when they're eligible to sign up on those lists, and they can receive the vaccine. And with that, I'll take questions. I think that's the last slide, sir.
Thank you for that, that detailed presentation. I'm gonna give council an opportunity to ask some questions. Councilwoman Miles.
So thank you so much, Mr. Johnson, for joining us tonight and for sharing this up-to-date information. It's as of today, so we definitely appreciate that. So I just have a few questions for you. So definitely appreciate the breakdown in Prince William County specifically, but do we have any data that shows how many residents of the town of Dumfries specifically have been able to receive the vaccination and how many have access? Do we have that? Is there any way to break that out?
Unfortunately, there's no way to aggregate that data at this time.
Okay, is that something that we might be able to get back within the next couple weeks or so?
I am not sure how the state is going to aggregate that data. They have not been giving us that level of detail, broken down to that level of detail. So that's one of the questions, some of the questions that the board has. So we're in a position now where we're waiting to see what level of detail the state is going to be able to provide and whether it can be broken down to that detailed town level detail at this time. It just hasn't been done at that level yet.
Okay. And then also, I know that CVS is a partner, and I know you mentioned that Safeway is a partner. And I don't remember whether you mentioned it in this presentation or if it was in the packet that we had received before. Walgreens is also offering the vaccination, and we do have a location, a Walgreens right here that's in town. Is there any way the county could partner with our Walgreens so that our citizens here in town could go to the Walgreens that we have here, so that it would be more accessible to them? And I asked this question because we know that nationally, just following the news, that communities that are hardest hit from COVID are not necessarily taking advantage of the vaccination. And I'm wondering how much of that is an accessibility issue. And when I hear that Gainesville is the CVS location that's getting the vaccination, I'm wondering how accessible it is. Is it because people are not taking it, or is it because we have a transportation issue? So I'm just wondering, is it feasible, if not to have it at our Walgreens, is there somewhere we can have a vaccination location in the town of Dumfries, or at the very least in the Potomac district, so that people in this area could take advantage of that?
So as of right now, the Walgreens has not been announced as a local partner in the federal pharmacy program. I know they are one of the organizations that has a contract with the feds. CVS is the only one that has a contract to operate in Virginia right now.
Okay.
We hope that it gets expanded to Walgreens and quite frankly other pharmacies in Virginia, so that it can do exactly what you just said, get to the local level. Our hope is that it would do almost like they do the flu vaccine, where you can walk into any pharmacy and get the vaccine there. I think the issue is the amount of supply. The federal government is getting so much vaccine as well from the pharmaceutical companies, that they are making decisions, trying to make the strategic decisions to do it. In reference to the selection of Gainesville, that was a selection by CVS based on what they could do and where they thought, I guess, when they could bring it out, it wasn't in our control or the health district's control on where they. Even when we met with the state last week, the state gave recommendations, but ultimately it came down to CVS making a choice based on whatever criteria they had for some site. But we're hopeful. The state did indicate that they are working with CVS to try to expand the 16 stores throughout the state and get into more communities as they get more vaccine from the federal government. That program, I think the goal at the federal level was to do 100 million vaccines through that program. Of course, if they can expand it, that'll give them more ability to bring in folks again at the local level in the local pharmacies, like you're suggesting.
Okay, and just two more. I'm sorry. Is there any way that we could get demographic information? I know there's a campaign to push individuals from the African American community and immigrant communities as well to become educated on the vaccination and encourage them to get the vaccination. And I know that nationally those numbers are low, but does Prince William County or Virginia, but Prince William County in particular, do we have demographic information to see who has gotten the vaccination?
Unfortunately, when they first started this, the collection of demographic information was not being taken and not being required at the federal level. And they probably had different reasons in the state level. The state, we do know that the state, as they are launching their call center and statewide pre-registration list, they are taking that data. With the records that we transferred over to the state, we know about 11,000 of those. We started taking that data about a couple of weeks ago at request of the health district to capture that. So there is an effort at the state level to start collecting that data. If you go to the state website, they have some aggregate data, but it's not total all the data because they just didn't have it. They didn't collect it all. They are working through their health. The state health equity work group is working on how they can do a better job at collecting that data and providing it. Even right now, we can't get it at the county, at the health level. We only have it at the statewide level right now. So we are hopeful that they will, that more open data or more detailed data can be given by the state. We just don't know how soon that will be coming out.
Okay, and this one is a wild one, but Johnson and Johnson vaccination. Have we heard anything? I know they're working. The administration is working on getting that one procured. Have we heard anything about when that one may be available to the state of Virginia? Because I know that's a single dose, and that might make things a bit easier. Terms, and I know, I know that's completely out of your control. I'm just wondering if you heard anything.
We know as much as you know. We know they filed for use, but we haven't heard that the process has been complete by the FDA to authorize use of the drug. So as soon as the FDA approves it, I think, just like you, I've heard anecdotal stuff in the media that Johnson & Johnson is ready to roll out doses, but it has to go through that approval process. We hopeful that'll be a game changer. I think there's another company out there working on a one dose as well. So now you will hear in the media that the Johnson & Johnson is only 70% effective rate versus the Moderna and the Pfizer doses are in the 90s. The key is getting the vaccination. It's not so much which one, is that we get as much of the community vaccinated as possible so that the risk factors are reduced.
Correct.
And that's where you may hear some people, well, I'm going to wait for the Johnson, or I want the Moderna, or I want the Pfizer. When it comes to us, we may not have a choice in determining which one comes to the health district, because it's going to be dependent on what the feds give the state, and then in turn what the state turns around and gives to each health district.
Okay. All right. Well, sir, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Any other council members had any other questions about the vaccine presentation? Okay. I seeing none. Thank you for, Councilwoman Neville, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your presentation. I have some concerns from what I'm hearing. I'm glad you touched on the apprehension that some people may feel about the vaccination. And I'm just concerned about the education piece that comes along with it. And there's a lot of confusion from what I hear for questions I've had from other people I interact with on exactly what the vaccination is intended to do. So can you please share a statement on what the expected outcome, what is the vaccination intended to do, and why people need to get it? Because although we push for the vaccine, get vaccinated, you can go vaccinated here, you can sign up here. I haven't heard a lot about the education piece, and seeing that we have so many people tuned in today, I think it would be great if it could be stated what it's intended to do, so they know, it's not a cure yet, but this is what it is supposed to do. Could you share that, please?
So I'll share, but I'll say this: I don't have a medical background, but based on the information that we do know, if you think about it like the flu vaccine, and now if people get the flu vaccine to do a couple of things. It helps support your own immune system. So if you do become affected with the flu, that the severity of the disease is not as severe if you weren't protected with the vaccine. These vaccines work in a similar manner. It doesn't say you're not going to catch it, but it will help you be more resistant to the vaccine so that you don't have the severe effects of what COVID does. If you've probably been hearing in the news saying, that's why we continue with the mask up, spread out campaign right now, because even if you're vaccinated, you could be asymptomatic and still carrying the vaccine. So somebody who's not vaccinated may become affected and have more severe side effects or symptoms from it. So it helps support your immune system so that it lessens the effect of the disease if you should. And that's the most important thing. Works similar to the flu vaccine. So that's the most important thing. My wife is a nurse, and we had this conversation about whether you should get it or not. And I can tell you, she's gotten her both doses, and she talked to her parents and encouraged them to get it as well because it provides that level of protection. I've heard it from the healthcare professionals and from the lay people as to whether or not to get it. And the more we can stress that, you hear about herd immunity. The more people in the population that gets protected, it lessens the spread and it lessens the impact on the entire community. So to get back to normalcy, when you hear Dr. Fauci and you hear all these folks talk about herd immunity, that's what they're talking about, getting enough people vaccinated so that the effect and the spread of it doesn't have the most severe impact that you have seen in the early stages of the vaccine. I hope that helps.
That does, and I hope people tuning in, I hope it helps someone tuning in because there's a lot of confusion out there. So thank you for addressing my question tonight. Thank you for your presentation.
It's one other thing, and I just want to check with the town manager. We haven't sent it to you. The state does a weekly phone call with elected officials where you can ask questions directly to Dr. Avula, who's leading the state vaccine rollout. If you don't have that, town manager, Mr. Rogers, we can get you that link so that you can give to your town council if they want to tune into that meeting and they can get direct updates from the state as well.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Council, was any other questions about the Mr. Fields? The floor is yours.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you again, Mr. Johnson, for coming and piggybacking on Councilwoman Miles and Councilwoman Neville's comments. In the beginning of the rollout, some of us were contacted, not particularly to be in front of the line or in the head of the line, but to be an example, especially for the African American community and the Black and brown community, that we would take the test, publicize it, and give updates of how we were doing after the test. There are a lot of other notable people that have done so, maybe not quite of a celebrity status. I'm not calling any of us of that, but we do have a certain following that people would trust us if, hey, if Mayor did it, if Councilman Fields did it, if this Council Lady so-and-so did it, maybe it's okay. Maybe we can go ahead and do that. But because the key is to get more awareness out to the African American brown community. Any information on that, sir?
So that's one of the things that we're talking about with the health district, with the public information as part of this rollout. All the elected officials, I believe it's in 19B, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
It says officials needed to maintain continuity of the government. You guys will fall into that. And we're going to be working with our board. And if the council wants to do the same thing, have them come in and get the vaccine, possibly do a PSA to get out to your communities and to your constituents and to let them know that it's okay to do that. So that is something that we are thinking about doing.
All right, thank you.
I see another hand raised, I think.
Yeah, Councilwoman Neville. And let me just make sure nobody else had anything before she went. Okay, go ahead, Councilwoman Neville.
Something in the chat.
Thank you. So I'm just wondering, and I just want to ask you, Mr. Johnson, while you're here, if you have a contact or maybe you can point us in the direction of what we can do, because there are always comments about Black and brown community, what we are and are not doing, but it sounds like that may be an assumption if the data is not being collected, if the demographics are not reflecting that, so I don't want to buy into the notion of what Black and brown people are not doing. So right. With that stated, is there something we can do or an action, a direction, maybe we send a resolution? Is there anything we can do at the state level to show support of updating the demographic information of those getting the vaccine? What action can we take as the Dumfries Town Council to collect this data and to not further the dialogue as if Black and brown people are not doing this, that, or the third, and have a correct narrative as to what's actually going on?
Understand. Well, that's one of the things that the board just voted on today to do is write to the state, VDH, to let them know we need that type of data so that we can get accurate information on what's going on in our communities. That's one of the things that the town council can do, is send a letter to the governor and to the head of VDH to say, hey, this information is crucial. How can we work with you guys on making sure we are giving the right messaging to our communities for that? So that's something that the council can do. I would encourage you, we'll send that link. I would encourage you, if you have time, to participate in those weekly calls that the state has set up. And it's for you all. to get your questions answered, to hear what's going on at the state level. I would encourage you to participate in those events as well. That way you can hear firsthand what's going on, and you can act as a dialogue back and forth. You know, last week it was a good dialogue with some of the elected officials, had a lot of similar questions that you guys have tonight that Dr. Avula was able to answer directly from hearing it from the state administrator who's actually responsible for the vaccine rollout.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
I see we have a question in the chat that asks about rollout to senior citizens that are homebound. We are currently, I know the health district is currently looking at that issue to see what demographics and what's going on with that. They are in conversations with a pharmacy that may be able to go directly into senior facilities. So that is something that we're looking at and how we can address that issue for folks who may be homebound. What I would encourage folks to do, if you do have those people and know about those people, definitely work with them to get them pre-registered on the state website, or call the health district call center number that's in the packet so that we can identify who those people are and try to get them assistance.
Thank you for that very thorough presentation. All right, I think we've exhausted it. Councilman Pete, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for providing us the information again. One of the questions of my concern is as we're staying updated with the current news and the news channels and they're providing us information, is there's a new there's a new virus or a new strand that's coming out. Mm-hmm. And one of my concerns is, well, maybe you have the information, or again, may have heard anything, or if you have, could you provide it with us or share with us, is that the ones that have gotten vaccinated already, with the new strand coming out, will they have to get vaccinated again?
The answer that we've heard is no. They will not have to be what I've heard, same as you guys have heard in the news and conversation with the health districts, as no, they don't have to get vaccinated again. It does provide some level of immunity to those new strands that are coming out. And we continue to monitor that with the health district if that recommendation from the CDC changes. But right now, we're not hearing that they need to be vaccinated again.
Okay, thank you for the information.
Mm-hmm. Again, thank you all for having us tonight. And we'll get you that link, Mr. Rogers, so that you can share with the town council so they can participate in those meetings as well.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for joining us.
Thank you. I see you brought a crowd with you, so I think everybody was excited to hear all this information about vaccines. Thank you today.
I'm happy to bring out a crowd, sir.
Yeah.
But I think they'll be more interested in some of the other topics that you have going on tonight.
Oh, you think so? Okay, I thought it was vaccines and getting back out here to be healthy again. So that was that was my thoughts. But thank you anyway for sharing, because that is an important topic, and we do meet weekly to talk about that on a Northern Virginia regional call as well. So
I hear your name mentioned a lot.
I try to just absorb and get the information that's needed and bring it back.
I hear you're not being quiet. You're asking all the right questions.
Well, thanks for noticing.
All right.
Thanks for noticing.
Have a great evening, folks.
You do the same. All right, next on our agenda, I'm just reminding our public that's watching, we're in presentation mode. So if you do have questions, please email your questions, and we'll get it in real time, actually. Email them to town council at dumfriesva.gov and PIO@dumfriesva.gov. We're not going to be monitoring the comments here. Send your comments in there, because we had our comment period. I know some people said they had some trouble. So please do email your comments. Next on the agenda is a presentation about the Dumfries expansion from Lisa Speller, the Vice President of Government Affairs and Community Relations with the Colonial Downs Group. Lisa, welcome you and your team tonight. Look
Thank you.
Y'all brought a posse like a hip hop group or something. I don't know.
Okay, Mayor. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Wood, Vice Mayor Nickerson, and members of Dumfries Town Council. As the mayor said, my name is Lisa Speller, and I'm the Vice President of Government Affairs and Community Relations for Colonial Downs. And I just want to thank the council, first of all, for allowing us to share our plans with you guys tonight and our plans of expansion for the town of Dumfries. We're truly excited to be here. I am joined tonight by our leadership team. And for those of you all that can still view folks on the screen, Brent Stevens, our founder and chairman.
Let's take
Jonathan,
the slides down so
can
they
we
can
take the
see it.
slides down, Keith, so we can get folks back?
Okay,
Great,
so
awesome.
they can wave to us.
Okay, so I'm joined tonight by our founder and president, chairman, Brent Stevens.
Hello, everybody.
Jonathan Swain is our president.
Good evening.
Aaron Gomes, our chief operating officer.
Hello.
All right. Stefan, we all know Stefan in Dumfries, Stefan Hubba. He is our chief development officer. Karanja Augustine, he is our senior vice president and general counsel.
Hello.
Jamie Hartman, our executive vice president of administration, is joining us tonight as well. And Tom Dunn, our vice president of development and real estate, joins us as well. Okay, so again, we're super excited to be here tonight. We're gonna start this presentation off with hearing some words from Brent. Brent is gonna start that off for us. So you wanna go back to slide 1, Keith? Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody. Mayor Wood, Vice Mayor Nickerson, all members of the City Council, we're really happy to be here and really appreciate the opportunity to show you our plans. And we did bring the whole team. The whole squad is here and led by our fearless Lisa Speller. So Lisa, thank you for the introduction. And I really wanted to just come in and say a few words about us and really get into the meat of our presentation. If you'll go to the next slide, please. What we hope to convey through our relationship with you, not tonight, but the past and well into the future, is that of our core values. They're represented by these 3 words that mean so much more than just the words, but service, quality, and community. Our company has been in existence for 23 years, and this is what we live by. These are the cornerstones of the way in which we operate our company and the way we invest in our communities and our people. Next slide, please. So let's talk about it. Service. We're in an industry where service matters. The opportunity to serve a customer really expands more than greeting them at the front door. And it's more than just the customer. It's serving each other as joint team members and teammates, as well as really understanding that in order for our companies to succeed, in order for our business to succeed, in order for our investments in your community to succeed, we must provide the best customer service that you can possibly do. And that really starts with training. And it really has reflected in the awards that we've received, the friendliest casino employees for 11 years in a row now, best hotel staff. And we're really proud of these values. Next, please. Quality. Quality spans in many, many arenas. It starts with the imagination of what it is that can exist. And we're here to talk about what we're going to do with a piece of property that's been used for something different. It's been a landfill. And what we're hoping to show you is the possibility of what we can build, the quality of what it can be. It's going to reflect 50 years of our collective experience, $1.4 billion in casino and hospitality development, 2 4-diamond AAA resorts that we built, and multiple awards over the course of our history. Next, please. And then finally, community. And this is everything to us. In the first 2 years of our Virginia operations, Colonial Downs Group has donated to the local communities in which we do business $730,000 in cash donations, $175,000 in in-kind donations. But it really doesn't stop there. It's really about committing our time. We have volunteered over 2,500 hours from our team members into the communities directly. You know, we want to be a part of the community. We're proud to be a part of Dumfries today with our Rosie's facility that we opened up on January 8th. We see the opportunity to be so much greater, and that's just a cornerstone and just the beginning. We're very excited about the future. Next, please. A reflection of a few of the awards that we've won: 4 Diamond AAA Award, Wine Spectre Award of Excellence, and we'll talk to you about the USA Today award that we've received, as well as many of those that you see here on this page. Next, please. Okay, USA Today. I think everyone knows this publication. They do a survey every year on many, many consumer categories, one of which is the gaming category. And they survey their readers across the country as to the best of various categories. And in our case, the best resort and casino properties, which we like to measure ourselves against. And we are the second highest rated by USA Today readers. So again, this is survey, non-paid, casino in the industry, our Del Lago Resort and Casino in upstate New York. And we're very, very proud of this designation. It really reflects the sum total of the quality of the property, the care that we give to our customers, and the investment we've made in the community. Next, please. Okay, so as you all know, we've been open since January 8th, and it's been a great 5 weeks. We've had 21,000 visits into our Rosie's Gaming Dumfries operation. 5,000 of those visits are from those traveling from more than 25 miles away, which is, as you see when we talk about the upcoming development with you, that is going to be an emphasis, pulling people in from the outside of the community. So our Rosie's operation has 100 direct jobs and has thus far been able to contribute $75,000 to local charities. So with that, I am going to turn the presentation over to Aaron Gomes, our Chief Operating Officer. Aaron?
Thank you, Brent. Good evening to all. Next, I'd like to show you some of the projects we've created elsewhere. The purpose for showing you our other properties is to show you the quality of our developments. As a company, we have developed hundreds of restaurant concepts, dozens of entertainment venues, many casinos, many hotels, 2 horse racing tracks, and historical horse racing facilities across Virginia, also known as Rosie's, which you're familiar with. We are a very diverse hospitality and entertainment company. On this slide, you can see our Colonial Downs racetrack, which has the largest turf track in the entire country and is regarded as one of, if not the best track surfaces in the world. If you've been to the track, it's gorgeous, and I believe testament to our company's philosophy of providing best-in-class properties everywhere we operate. In 2019, our first year of operating the track, not only did we host over a month of horse racing, but had A-list entertainment, including Country Music Artist of the Year, Old Dominion. In 2020, we had much larger entertainment plans, but unfortunately the pandemic happened and we weren't able to follow through with them. But we certainly have large plans for that facility for next year. These next 2 projects that we have developed, own, and manage will be much closer in terms of scale to what we would like to bring to Dumfries than anything we currently operate in Virginia. So I'd like to share them with you. Please note that these next 2 are casinos. Our project in Dumfries is not a casino. It's a historical horse racing, gaming, and entertainment facility. The games themselves will be very similar to what we offer in Rosie's across Virginia today. However, this will be our largest facility with many more non-gaming and entertainment, food and beverage amenities, which we will share all with you later. So on this slide, you can see our Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Sioux City, Iowa. If you look at the building, the location, and the new development around our site, you would not believe what this area looked like before we arrived. The downtown area had no real attractions and people were leaving the downtown. This building was actually an abandoned battery factory when we came in. Now we host world-class entertainment with up to 5,000 attendees for a single show and have included the likes of Journey to Post Malone and everyone else in between. I'd put our entertainment lineup there up against most casinos in Las Vegas or Atlantic City, to be honest. Between our 2 entertainment venues in Sioux City, Iowa, we host over 200 shows per year. And remember, that's in Sioux City, Iowa. So imagine what we could do in Northern Virginia. Although we are very proud of the building and what we have created, we're most proud of how the Hard Rock has become a regional attraction, acting as an anchor to what is now an entire downtown entertainment destination. We've completely revitalized the entire downtown area and spurred new development for miles in all directions. Next slide, please. On this slide, it's our most ambitious development to date. It's our Del Lago Resort and Casino in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. It's about halfway between Syracuse and Rochester. As Brent mentioned, this was named the second best casino resort in the country by USA Today. It was a nearly $500 million development with 2,000 slot machines, roughly 100 table games, 9 food and beverage outlets, a 2,000 person entertainment venue, and about 200 hotel rooms. The project was a ground up development that we built in a literal cornfield when we broke ground about 6 years ago. If you can see the top right picture on in the presentation, that's our entertainment venue, which we are very proud of and was named the best entertainment venue in the country at a casino 2 years ago. It includes 2 private skyboxes with bars and actually gaming in the suites, and is a phenomenal experience to see a show. So as you can see, we are a very entertainment-centric company. Entertainment plays a major role in all of our developments and is the single most important aspect of all of our marketing plans. And long-term, we plan on entertainment playing a major role in our proposed project in Dumfries. So now I'll turn over to Jonathan for the really exciting stuff.
Great, thanks, Aaron. So what's next for us in Virginia is Dumfries, and we have today 5 operations with thousands of employees in Virginia. But we've been focused our attention now on a specific location in Dumfries, which you can turn to the next slide. And as you heard earlier, we've developed 12 facilities, hospitality resort facilities across the country from the ground up in locations such as historic battery buildings, an ice harbor in the Midwest, a cornfield in upstate New York. But never before have we come across a site with so much potential because of its visibility and access to a large population, but with a challenge to it, and that's it's an active landfill. An active landfill that has truck traffic that you're very aware of, and some of the environmental issues that come along with it. And so we've taken several years now to look at this site, study it, bring in the best experts we can from an environmental standpoint, understand what it is to close an operation like this. And we think we've come up with a great plan that takes care of both the facility, the development of the facility, but also offers an opportunity to put in a great amenity for the community, and that's an 80-acre park, which we're really excited to talk about today. So you take a look at the next slide. This is the Rose. This is the centerpiece of the bouquet of our company in Virginia. It's going to be the largest HHR facility that we have. If you turn to the next slide, you can see some of the components of it. We've decided on the right-hand side, you can see the parking structure to shield the residents of Grayson Village from any noise or light pollution that may come from the entertainment facility. But inside the building of the entertainment facility, starting on the top left-hand corner, going counterclockwise, you'll see the showroom, a food hall where we can bring in local vendors and Virginia vendors to put in restaurant concepts. The hotel is in the upper right-hand corner. The gaming facility itself is in the middle. You can see the large sports book and sports bar concept, as well as the other dining concept in the back house for the employees. You see the landfill is positioned over there to the left. So you can see the access going into the parking facility, the exit coming out of the parking facility, and then 2 entrances from the parking structure going into the gaming floor. Take the next slide. And the park. Obviously, this site is almost 100 acres, but there's 80 of it that'll be a hill, an elevated hill with a large flat spot on the top for us to really create a vision. And that vision is going to start with us having some community meetings in the next couple of weeks, coming up and asking people what they like to see. We like soccer fields and baseball fields and amphitheater, but we're not specifically tied to any one concept for the park. So we want community input into what we're going to be doing in the park, and we're looking forward to those meetings we're going to be having upcoming, and Lisa can talk about that a little bit later. as we enter into the community communication phase of our project. And so with that, maybe Lisa, if you could talk a little bit more about the park and what some of our ideas are.
Absolutely. Next slide, please. So you'll see from this slide that some of the activities and things that we hope to project out in the park, we have heard from some community members. We've heard from the mayor and members of council. This project will offer walking trails, bike trails, an opportunity for fields, soccer fields, fields for youth and adult sports. Next slide, please. The green space, an opportunity for an outdoor amphitheater, a meadow, plants, an ideal space for gathering, outdoor gatherings. And in this time, we know that, you know, individuals love to be outside, and we want to operate in that green space and utilize that space as well. Next slide. It is also going to offer opportunities for fitness. There will be, like I said before, bike trails, walking trails. We hope to have fitness spaces where you can perform intermittent activities along those walking trails. And for more information on the next phase, I'm going to turn that over to Stefan, who is our Chief Development Officer.
Good evening. So right now we're in the development stages where we've engaged teams and numerous consultants to start doing our due diligence and to walk through a lot of our due diligence. Earlier we performed our environmental assessments as well as our geotechnical studies and wetland disturbance areas and looked at endangered species. And we really did a really deep dive in looking what exists on the site. And now we're working with our designers and developers trying to lay out the property in the best fit. And we are in the process of working with town staff on looking at the site and making sure that all the elements and components are compliant with zoning. Next slide. We've really tried taking the site and looking how to maximize the site to best represent not only our brand, but the region and the town of Dumfries. Next slide, please. So we've really focused on having a lot of it up front. One important thing to note is, although it's 100 acres, our site is on roughly 12 acres that is not specifically on the dump itself. It's at the foot of the dump at the front end. Therefore, we have structured parking that's there to accommodate all the parking spaces and also acts as a nice barrier or buffer. We're working with our sound engineers and light engineers and, as I mentioned, staff to make sure that everything is compliant in the best interest of our guests. Next slide. Back now to Jamie.
So to recap, we have a $389 million project that we're proposing. It's on a 79-acre recreation area, 50,000 square feet, a gaming space, 250 plus seat sports bar, 8 bars and restaurants, 7,000 square feet of meeting and event space, 200 hotel rooms, and 1,500 capacity theater. Next slide, please. So Stefan, can you take us through the hotel and restaurant concepts, please?
Sure. So within the facilities, there's a number of concepts, starting with the sports bar, about 200 seats that'll have live sports activity, moving to our fine casual restaurant, which will offer some great local cuisine. We're typically focused on farm to table, making sure we focus on sustainability in the marketplace. And then when you look at our food hall, we have the ability to tailor some of the pods or kiosks within that food hall that allow for some local representation, whether it's bringing in local chefs or bringing in local restaurateurs that are interested in being part of our development. Within the hotel itself, which is part of our phase program, the hotel will also have a bistro in it, Italian themed, as well as coffee and ice cream kiosks for our guests. It'll be a fun, dynamic facility that offers a little bit of everything for a lot of people. And then one important thing to note is the event center is level floor seating. So when we do want to host a larger event that offers roughly 40,000 square feet of event space. So if we wanted to do a catered banquet for 600 people, it's something that we would be able to accommodate. Next slide. This is just some imagery or just some sense of the quality that we're looking at when you look at the food hall on the top right. It's not going to feel like a typical food court. It's going to feel more like an entertainment district. It's going to be a little more exciting, a lot more energy to it. Next slide. Back to Jamie.
Thanks, Stefan, and thank you for the opportunity to present this evening. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time discussing jobs and economic benefits to the town of Dumfries and within the county. As you can see on the slide we're looking at right now, the Rose Gaming Resort will offer meaningful employment, both in terms of construction and during operations. The numbers that we're looking at right now are on operations. So we're planning on hiring 640 permanent team members, offering a minimum wage of at least $15 an hour. And while our average salary and benefits will be $47,000 per year, we also intend on hiring 96 managerial and professional employees with an average salary and benefits of about $70,000 annually. So through workforce development, training, upward mobility opportunities, both our current and prospective team members will be able to pursue careers, just not just jobs. Next slide, please. So we commissioned an economic impact study. We had it performed by Dr. Terry Clower at Clower and Associates. A little bit on Terry. He has 30 years of experience in community and economic research. He's also the director of the Center for Regional Analysis at George Mason University. He's a professor of public policy at George Mason University as well. So the analysis that Dr. Clower provided, an assessment of the state and local economic tax benefits of our project, both in terms of facility development during our construction phase and for recurring operations. The analysis included consideration of anticipated offsite spending, which would be like in the form of lodging, dining, gas for vehicles, other visitor spending by resort patrons. Took that all into account as he put together his forecast on the economic benefits. So one of the things that was of note, and I'm sure is a statement of the obvious, is we have a great opportunity to recapture a sizable share of entertainment spending presently going to the Maryland casinos. Our project is being designed in such a way to be able to attract those individuals going to out-of-state casinos and recapture those revenues in-state. So in total, Dr. Clower forecasts 1,490 jobs will be created in the state, generating $10.9 million in tax revenues to the town of Dumfries and $6.8 million in tax revenues to Prince William County. More on that in a moment. Next slide, please. So the graphic on the screen represents the results of our economic impact study. The impacts are broken out by construction and operations, providing details on the economic benefits forecasted for state, county, and for the town of Dumfries. So for purposes of our discussion this evening, I'll focus my comments on economic benefits related to employment and tax revenues to the town of Dumfries and Prince William County. So during our construction phase, development costs for the project, again, are proposed at almost $390 million. County economic benefits associated with developing the proposed resort will generate about $11.4 million in tax revenues, boost total labor income by more than $134 million, and create over 2,400 person years of employment over the development period. Tax revenues at the county level are primarily from sales, use, and property taxes created from the construction-related activities and corresponding employment. Even though these impacts are temporary, the county will enjoy a significant boost in tax revenues. As we transition from construction operations, I'll focus on the economic impact of the full development noted in the operations phase 2 on the graphic. So again, that is where we have all of our amenities up and operational. So in this phase, labor income for the county is just under $56 million with 1,349 direct, indirect, and induced jobs created. Tax revenues from the resort are $6.8 million at the county level and nearly $11 million in new tax revenues for the town. To put that in perspective, Dumfries' total revenue budget for fiscal year 2021 is $5.7 million. So these new tax revenues represent almost a 200% increase to the town. Tax revenues include gaming taxes, property taxes, sales and use taxes, hotel and occupancy taxes, meal taxes, fees for permits and licenses. Gaming taxes alone represent $8.6 million of the total $10.9 million in new tax revenues for Dumfries. It'll certainly be a great time to be a resident of Dumfries, and we look forward to being the catalyst for this incredible boost to the local economy. And with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Lisa Speller to discuss our project timeline.
Okay. All right. So with all that said, I know that the next questions are probably, well, what's next? We remain so excited to be a part of the Dumfries community and the opportunity to bring this, the Rose, this great grand historic horse racing property to Dumfries is exciting. So I'm going to start with just giving you a little history of where we are and where we plan to go. Really briefly, really quickly, the referendum passed in November of 2019. You'll see that on our timeline here. And if we're looking at the Rosie's Gaming Emporium portion, in March 6th of 2020, Rosie's broke ground at Triangle Plaza. And during that time, almost simultaneously on March 8th, the Virginia General Assembly approved a larger HHR facility in Dumfries. Moving forward, we have now opened Rosie's Gaming Emporium. It's open to the public. It opened on January 8th, and it's been a great opportunity. We're excited. We're happy to be there in that community. We have had an opening impact of $76,500 in total donations to not-for-profit organizations. 100 new jobs have been created, and again, thousands of new visitors to the town. So what's next? Community engagement. We have a date for our first community engagement meeting set for February 24th. However, we all know that community engagement starts now. It starts with the conversations that we're having with you all. It starts with conversations with our neighbors. We plan and anticipate moving forward with a planning commission meeting and getting in front of city council for approval by mid-June. We look at in August, keeping that timeline, in August 2021, we began the landfill closure, as well as breaking ground in August, with an anticipation of the park area that we discussed earlier, opening in December of 2022. And then in January 2023, the flagship of our gaming emporiums, the flagship of our HHR properties opens the Rose. So at that point, the Rosie's in Triangle Plaza becomes a workforce development center for the community of Dumfries. We are just excited. Again, we want to thank you for your time tonight, and we want to open the floor for any questions. Next slide, please. Together we win.
All right. If we can stop sharing the screen for a second so I can see everybody. I'm gonna bring everybody to. Thank y'all for that pretty detailed presentation about the project. I think this is the first time I think we've seen a developer come in with such a detailed plan, visual aids, and all of that to help out with it. It's funny because I think 2.5, 3 years ago when your advanced team came in and talked about what were some of the needs in the community, and I talked about restaurants, and I jokingly said to them, I said, hey, I think we need a convention center in the town because we needed an event space, and see you all bring something that's going to be able to bring not only the game and entertainment aspect and the theater, but a place where we can hold events and we don't have to leave the area, and places for people to come and eat truly and to dine in. I think that is an awesome opportunity. I just wanted to clarify something you said at the end of your presentation, Lisa. Did you say that the current Rosie's that is there is just going to be a workforce development center for the town, or is that just for Rosie's?
that workforce development center is going to be an opportunity for individuals who are entering gaming. As you know, gaming is becoming, part of the Commonwealth of Virginia. So folks who are interested in careers in the gaming industry will be welcome to come into our workforce development center and get the training that they would need to enter that career.
And what about hospitality?
Hospitality as a form of it, yes.
Okay, it's part of, okay, so that whole hospitality area. All right, so I'm gonna yield the floor, give some council members the opportunity to ask questions, and then I'll come back and make some comments at the end. All right, I see Councilwoman Neville has her hand up first, so the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Speller, and everyone from Colonial Downs, Rosie's, for giving us that presentation with those beautiful renderings. So I do have some questions. And you already answered one of them. I wanted clarification on the Workforce Development Center as well. And that is simply just clarification. So that sounds fine as well. So I think it's good to be clear what we're talking about here. So that sounds like a good use of the current property. As we know, my concerns that I was very vocal about was, one unique thing about the town is the B zones it's always surrounded by the residential. So although we still have Grayson Village in that area and it's close to the homes in Tripoli, it is not completely surrounded by the residential or next to a library. So I am happy to hear that, but I do have some questions. My main question was an environmental concern. And I believe forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong, Mr. Huba, you had made reference to an environmental impact study, which I am interested in seeing, and I'm pretty sure some members of the community are interested in seeing as well. I'd like to learn more about the details, what your findings were, how you plan to resolve those issues that came up. So that is actually something I was looking forward to hearing more about. As with anyone, you hear about a landfill and you're putting something on there, clearly there are some environmental concerns. However, I also know, because I know Virginia, there's the innovative Mount Trashmore, a beautiful park, in the Tidewater area. So what are your plans to share your findings from that environmental impact study and your proposed solutions to overcome anything you may have found?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So it's the environmental site assessment really looks at the site itself, and it looks at the surrounding area for potential environmental impacts. So when they looked at the dump itself, because the dump is regulated by Department of Environmental Quality, it's a federal agency, there are currently requirements in place for water testing and for odor sensing and and leachate testing. So part of the process with the VDEQ is we have to work with VDEQ to do a closure plan, which really stipulates how the dump is actually closed. And it's a process. There's a geosynthetic membrane that goes on top. There's 18 inches of soil by another 6 inches of soil, and then there's grasses for stability. But really, that plan not only does it cover the closure plan, but it also covers the post-closure care plan. And that plan really stipulates and dictates what type of ongoing testing has to occur. And that ongoing testing includes keeping the odor management system in place. It requires that there's testing of the waters. There's a number of wells. I don't remember how many wells on site. And all of them are testing fine at today's point. But at one date, if they don't test properly, we're required to mitigate or resolve the problem. The post-closure plan is in place for a minimum of 10 years. And we have to continually monitor that for those 10 years. And VDEQ ensures that we do monitor those wells. And this is something that happens across all dumps across the country. So the PLI, the dump owners now are managing the dump within those guidelines, and they are keeping all those safeguards in place to ensure the protection of the groundwaters and of the community.
I don't think we would have any problem in sharing those plans, either the environmental impact study or the closure plan with staff or council.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that. And I think that's something that the community-wide would be interested in seeing as well.
Sure.
So I look forward to seeing that. Is there any information on the DEQ website in regards to that study right now?
So it was an independent study done by Apex, and I can have that emailed over to you tonight or tomorrow morning if you'd like.
Okay, thank you. I'd appreciate that. And I'd also like it if that's shared on the town website as well. So my other major concern is the traffic, because when I drive on 234, which has become quite backed up at times lately, I have concerns for how, when you get off of I-95 coming at that exit directly onto 234, the next street is Green Tree Lane, which goes towards the landfill and Grayson Village. So my concerns with the traffic, especially we have Route 1 widening coming up. There have been talks about the Potomac Shores Parkway. Is there any coordination going on with VDOT and the county to create another way to access that area, especially once it's completed?
Yeah, traffic is always a very serious issue, and we take traffic very seriously. And we are working with staff on traffic currently. We've hired actually two very good engineering firms, or one of the, some of the, we believe are the best engineering firms, really to help evaluate not only the known traffic issues, but what we can do to mitigate those issues. There's also how do we integrate, to your point, with the Route 1 expansion. They're not easy questions, and they're going to take a little bit of time to resolve. But our goal is really to minimize the impact on the community and maximize the access for our guests, because that ensures our success. But traffic is not an easy solution, and we actually have submitted our traffic study to VDOT in December, late December, and we're waiting to hear responses back from the first set of review. And then hopefully I plan to go into a work session with staff and with VDOT and the engineers to figure out what the solution is. And one of the things that we've tentatively proposed is adding a traffic circle at Route 1 and Graham, because we do have access to the site around Graham Road. But whether or not that's the final solution is yet to be told.
Just to clarify, you mean Graham Park Road in town, or are you talking about another a circle somewhere else in town?
Graham and Main Street, we're at Route 1 right now.
Okay.
It's where the VDOT has that whole interchange planned.
It's closer to Harold and Kathy's. It's closer down that side.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I live off of Graham Park Road. If we're talking about the same road, so that's what I'm saying. So no,
No, it's different.
Where are we looking at?
Harold and Kathy, the little diner that we have. Let me say it like it's a diner. Harold and Kathy's there. So on the Route 1 widening project, once we get the presentation on that a little bit more, you'll see where the intersection, Main Street is going to cut off. They're looking at adding a circle there. So possibly there'll be a back way for people to come out to alleviate any type of traffic congestion.
Okay, well, I definitely look forward to seeing more about that because we're widening Route 1 for reasons we all know.
Right.
That will drive more traffic to our Route 1. But as you progress in your study, maybe some other things will come up. So I'm definitely looking forward to an update with the traffic study and still some coordination with the county regarding Potomac Shores, that development coming up as well.
It's a big development.
So with that, I'll move on to my next question, but I look forward to an update regarding that traffic situation. So as far as access to opportunity, do you have plans in place to possibly work with or increase the minority participation with securing contractors for, especially your general contracting, I guess, that's over this project? What opportunities do you have for minority contractors? If you have any of that information now, can you share?
Roger, you want to talk about that, please?
Yeah, sure. So we're still early on in the process, but we're preliminarily looking at the different project scopes, and we're poised to set a goal of 40% for MBE participation on the construction. and then a 40% goal also for the workforce, and then carry that goal over to our operations. 40% MBE participation in contracting during operations, and 40% workforce at MBEs. So that's what we're looking at. We're really eager to work with the town in that regard to see if you have any input, but that's what we think we're going to go with.
Okay, thank you. And believe it or not, that concludes my questions for tonight. I look forward to updates as far as the environmental impact and the traffic impact. So thank you for yielding my questions tonight.
Thank you for your question.
And an add on to that, Karanja, is as far as the local participation, what percentage of local participation would you add to that as well? I know we talked about the MPE, but as far as the local, you know how most people bring contractors from out of town. How many contractors? What's the percentage you're looking at on a local basis?
Yeah, I mean, I need to. So as I said before, I need to dig in a little bit deeper, do a little bit of an analysis, in terms of what the availability is. But what we find is that typically when we do these, the folks are working who are really close to the facility. So in terms of local, it depends on what you define as local. But I think we'd want to do something around 50% local. But Mr. Mayor, frankly, I think we're a little premature on that, and I would be happy to work with you to get a goal that we're all comfortable with.
Councilwoman Miles.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just have a few comments. So first of all, I would like to say thank you to Ms. Feller as well as the rest of your team for coming and joining us tonight and giving such a thorough presentation. I'm actually very excited about the possibilities of what's to come. I think this development is going to be a tremendous asset to the town with endless possibilities. I would, look forward to the community input that follows through this. Keep my fingers crossed. I would like a tennis court personally.
Noted.
But I am, looking forward to the growth opportunities for people. I would just wonder how much hiring from within are you guys going to be able to do? Like, I would imagine those that are already working for Rosie's, would they have opportunity for upward mobility into some of those management positions that are coming through?
Absolutely. That is one of our key values is uplifting individuals and empowering folks that are a part of our family to move up. So yes, they would have opportunities within the rows.
Okay. All right. Again, so just thank you so much. I don't have any further questions, just those comments, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how this develops. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments.
Vice Mayor, and then I'll come to you, Councilman Fields. She's been waiting patiently.
And then I couldn't get my mic off mute. So thank you. I think this was a great presentation. I too am excited about the potential for the location that we currently have in Dumfries. I've had the pleasure of visiting the location a few times. And when I was there, I was happy to see the amount of town residents who work there. I've had conversations with more than one individual who have said to me, I can walk to work on a nice day, and that's what, for me, that's what was so important. That was one of the reasons why I was happy to support having Rosie's in town. I know that there are people who have, feelings based on misnomers, or, some consumers are not as educated about the casino lifestyle or the gaming lifestyle. But what we do know for a fact is, aside from the assumptions that we can make, we know that Rosie's brought jobs to Dumfries. And we know that a bigger facility will also bring more jobs to Dumfries. And as an HR professional, that makes me happy. The other thing I wanted to talk about was having this facility that you all are proposing. I'm looking forward to the increased property value. I also know that brings an increased tax because the taxes are based on property values. But for me personally, having a home here in town, owning a home here, I've seen my property value decline because of the market. And while it's slowly on a rise now, I am anticipating that, as a place like this, a location like this will in fact increase our property values. So I am really looking forward to that as well. And the green space, I'm excited about having more parks in the area. I like Councilwoman Miles's idea about a tennis court. I think it'd be great to have a skating rink. Put that on your list too, please, Ms. Feller, because the children in the area need something that they can do as well.
I got you.
Good. So I'm excited about the potential opportunities that we have. Thank you for what you all have done and your give back to the community thus far. That's really impressive. We have a lot of businesses in the town of Dumfries, and I'm happy to have you all as a business partner who are already contributing to the community in such a positive way. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I think that was a great, Vice Mayor. The thing I don't think we've highlighted is the partnership that you are currently doing, Ms. Feller, with the businesses in the community. Rosie's Bucks, can you talk a little bit about how that's going and how businesses who in the town can actually participate in Rosie Bucks?
Oh, absolutely. It's Point Partners. And it is
Point
our
Partners. Okay.
Point Partners. And it's our program. It's our rewards program. And what we do is we partner with local businesses because we want to encourage folks to shop local, eat local, and participate in things that are local. So any business who's interested in joining that program, they can contact our Dumfries property, and our marketing team will get them set up. Well, what that does is folks that go into Rosie's and they're spending money and they're buying different things and they're playing our HHR machines, they gather points. And with those points, they're able to go into local merchants and utilize those points for discounts and money off of what their purchase is. And that won't be of any cost to the merchant. We will set that up. So simply anyone interested in that, they could definitely reach out to our Dumfries property. Our manager there, general manager there is a phenomenal guy, Rick Casagrande. He would be more than happy to get folks squared away with that.
So all of our pizza places, our restaurants, our diners,
yes,
all of our stores, our grocery stores, all of them can sign up, and the people who can come and spend their money in the community, and you'll reimburse the community businesses based on these.
Based on the program. Absolutely.
That's good. Vice Mayor just reminded me to ask that question, so thanks.
Okay.
Councilman Fields, the floor is yours.
Okay, Rosie's, y'all have done an excellent job in your presentation this evening. Thank you, Ms. Feller, and the rest of the team for your continuing effort and showing interest in the town of Dumfries. I have a few questions to ask and a couple of statements as well. Could someone answer for our public? Explain the difference between this type of gambling or gaming versus the casino gambling or gaming, so everyone can get a clear picture of what's the difference between this and a regular casino. Can someone answer that question, please?
I think Aaron's going to take that question.
Sure. Yes. So a traditional casino slot machine, we'll get rid of the fact there's no table games, right? So we will only have historical horse racing machines. We operate under pari-mutuel law, or pari-mutuel wagering regulations, which is a little different in that customers are essentially playing against one another, not against the machine or the house, like a casino. A traditional slot machine has a random number generator in it, and you push a button and it determines if you win or lose. Our system, which is prevalent in Kentucky and many other states, is a central server determines the results. So the player experience from playing a traditional slot machine to a historical horse racing machine is very similar. The time on device, the entertainment, the payback percentages are very similar. However, it's kind of the back end math and what determines the results that is the difference. That answer your question?
Yes, and I'm quite sure for the public it answers some of their questions as well.
Great.
Councilwoman Neville touched on something that I had in my notes as well, on the environmental effect. And we, from down that part of Virginia, know about Mount Trashmore. And I even mentioned that on a social media answer that I gave people, that that's a great example to go by. So I'm glad to hear that our environmental efforts are at top notch, because the first thing people would say is it's going on the landfill. What about this, that, or the other? So that is first and foremost, I think, is the biggest concern, is to take care of the environment and the shutdown and the procurement of the land and things like that, so our community is safe. The next thing is the jobs that's going to bring to the area. I remember last time when the current Rosies came, and there was a back and forth discussion on residents here in town versus residents in the county and nearby area. I'll say this to the people that are listening. If you yourself did not apply for a job with Rosies, what's your problem? What's your problem with people in the community that want jobs, that need jobs, that are coming to our area? And also, I'll address this too. The naysayers that are out there, most of the people do not live in the town of Dumfries or even anywhere close to Dumfries. They're on the other side of the county. So I will say this, and I'm probably going to make the paper for saying that, but let Dumfries handle Dumfries business. We have the communication and what's going on with Rosies. Let Dumfries handle Dumfries business. If you're on the other side of the county, take care of your business over there. We can handle Dumfries. Dumfries is growing and Dumfries is doing good. And I'm so proud of that. I urge our Director of Community Development, Mr. Capers, to work diligently with with Rosie's team. Do not delay this process, because as you can see, they have a great plan for Dumfries, as the mayor always says, a destination place, not a place you drive through. It's going to be a place you drive to. So please work with him closely on that, and with the rest of the staff and the team, and with the council. We have a long way to go and a short time to get there. So congratulations, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. There was one thing I just wanted to add real briefly to what Councilman Fields said, and I wanted to emphasize, just so that everyone is aware, we are actually building on a 12 acres, and Stefan, please chime in. We're actually building on the 12 acres in front of the property that hasn't been used. So it's really important for everyone, both on, that's listening to us, to understand that the roads itself will be built on those 12 acres that has not been used. And Stefan, I don't know if you wanted to say something else to that, but I know Mayor Wood, that was something that you had asked earlier, and I wanted to make sure that we were all clear on that piece as well.
No, that's correct. As part of the closure of the dump itself, there's requirements that capping requirements that you can't penetrate the cap once the cap is developed. So building a structure on the dump, your goal is to keep water from permeating into the dump to affect the groundwater. So you put this geosynthetic cap on, not to get too technical, but you seal it up, and you don't want to build on top where you have to drive foundations through it. So what you can do on top of that is limited to what you can do within that 18 inches of soil, plus the top coat per se, and the geosynthetic fabrics. But Lisa stated correctly, we're building on the front where there's not a active quote unquote cell, that where there's active dumping, or there hasn't been any dumping in the past.
Thank you for definitely making that clarification, because people under the impression that I guess you all are going to build on the landfill and then the hotel is going to come sinking and everybody's going to go crashing. So it's good to know that you're actually building on the front part where there hasn't been any landfill or there hasn't been any digging. Thank you for making that point, because I think that's an important point of clarity, especially for the public who are afraid of building on top of that. So DEQ has certain requirements as far as build. You can't build nothing on the active landfill part for how many years?
In terms of building, I'm not sure what the settlement requirements are. They're different from a construction landfill, what this is, versus a other waste landfill. And I would believe it's all based upon the settlement of the facilities and the age of the facilities. But Mayor, to be totally honest, I'm not an expert and I'm not able to answer that question.
All right, I just want to make sure we highlight. Councilman Brown, I've seen your hand.
Okay, just want to thank you.
Pull your mic closer for us, please.
Okay, let me turn it up. Can you hear me now? Any better? Okay, I just want to thank you for choosing this spot in Dumfries. I know you could have went anywhere in Virginia, Manassas, Fredericksburg, and this is bringing a good opportunity for growth here in Dumfries, and just thank you for considering this. To be transparent, and I'll say, like I said, for the Rosies that we opened up in January, I don't gamble. I don't drink, but that doesn't mean that we should close down all ABC stores in Virginia. So it's not about me personally, but I think I see the bigger picture here with how this can affect our community. I know there's going to be a lot of negativity with the association with gambling. When I say I don't gamble, I day trade. And if you day trade,
you gamble.
That's gambling. However, I like to have more control of what I'm doing with my money. So this is an avenue for those who like to do this type of thing. And who am I to dictate what the community as a whole can do? And on the back end of that, the revenue that's going to be generated, how does that fall back into the town, and what do we do with that? I know Councilman Pete, he's always been talking about parks and recreation for kids. This is a way that we can kind of incorporate something like this to impact our youth. So we have to look at this from a bigger picture than just our personal beliefs. What is best for this community? And I'll tell you, as Councilwoman Neville stated about traffic, I don't like the traffic. Traffic is here right now. I don't like the dump site. I look at my house, out my window, I look dead at the dump. I look at that hill. Dump is getting closed down, so someone has to manage it. Regardless of who's going to manage it, someone has to manage that. So I just think that this opportunity for Dumfries is good. And if there's anything that you need from me personally to help move this project forward, please reach out to me. If there's any impediments that I can affect, just let me know.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Councilman Brown, you brought up a great point, and I wanted to ask developers, the 79-acre public space that you're looking to create, once that's developed and built, who's going to manage and maintain that public space that you're building?
We have to, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, we have to maintain it and own it for the duration of the 10-year period of the mitigation and monitoring. So we'll operate that park for at least a decade.
All right. Well, thank you. That's good to know.
Mayor,
And
I have one more.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
So you were suggesting that you're going to build the main part on 12 acres of land. So
yeah,
I assume that the park is going to be on the backside of the building, the structure.
Yes.
And that's going to probably be on the area that you cannot build on top of, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so concern for how safe that part is for our youth to be playing back there in that area, understanding the use of space and how you're going to use it, that still would, environmentally, I still have some concerns with that. Because even though you're not building a structure there, you still have kids running around. If the air is not of the right quality, then we still have a problem.
Absolutely valid concern, and we're again more than willing to share the mitigation plan that we have long term and how we plan to mitigate those, those leaking of fumes or any type of pollutants into the environment and make sure that it's safe. We wouldn't put a park children in a place that we didn't think was safe. So we'll be more than transparent with everything we're doing as we're going through the process and communicate with you all along the way, as well, in addition to giving you all the reports and our process as we move forward.
Okay, Councilman Pete, you've been waiting so patiently. We're going to get you in there now.
Thank you, Rosies. I am so excited that you all came into this area, especially for the town of Dumfries. And as mentioned, I am big on the Parks and Recreations Department. I am excited. Well, I was excited when I went into your facility, and one of the main things that kind of hesitated me on going into the facility was the outbreak of the COVID going on. But to see that you guys have a care team in place that sanitizes throughout the course of while people are enjoying themselves. Also, that you guys have sanitation stations around everywhere. The care team are wearing gloves. That you're checking your temperature, as we have the same digital way in the town. I was just excited to go in there and to see that you guys had the sanitation and disinfecting part covered into as to where I felt very comfortable, as to where I've been in there several times now, and I've enjoyed myself. I've seen a lot of the a lot of the residents and a lot of people. I'm from Alexandria area originally. I've seen some of my friends from the past in coming down here to enjoy themselves. The food is good. The food is good. I also like the fact that we have employed people directly from within our town as to where they were making what they were making at a point of time to where they're now making in the sense of $15 minimum an hour, which is projected to take them close to $39,000-$40,000 in their annual salary, which is a plus for anyone in the area. And if you get two people in a household, we done changed a lot that way. I also like the fact that some of my council members have covered some of the bullets that I was going to talk about in the first, which was the landfill in itself. I have been a big hand raiser for the closure of the landfill, as I live off of Tripoli, and during the summer times, and a lot of people, a lot of residents and summer council can raise their hand. That thing gets pretty smelly during the summertime. I'm glad to see that is being closed down to move into a different direction. I do have concerns of the also citizens have the concern of what's going to be placed on top of the landfill. Being that you guys also stated that you're going to move, that you're going to build at the head foot, one of the other side of the angle, to detour that. I would like to see if we can get a settlement assessment team up in there and give us and provide us with an update on that. I also like the fact that they covered the environmental impact of the whole area itself, and also the traffic. The traffic was one of the main concerns of us all. That's why we opening up the Route 1. VDOT is expanding down to Fredericksburg. So the state is making, in the town itself, or making some adjustments to minimize the traffic, or to try to mitigate it a little bit. But at the same time, we would like to see where we're at with the impact study for our impact to town. I want to also thank you all for having a community relation and doing donations and with the Boys and Girls Club, the Child's Program, and some of the others that I had a chance to be in presence of when you guys were presenting those donations. I like that type of stuff right there. And then also with those kids being there, I really would like to see if we could look into that so we can move forward. You guys covered what a gaming is, what a casino is, and I believe that this town, again, is still and will move into the right direction. The model is to drive to Dumfries and not through Dumfries, and I believe we're moving in that direction. So again, with your whole team there, Mr. Brett and Miss Lisa. It's nice to have met you several times, and you guys are a great team. And Mr. Rick Casagrande is awesome guy, bringing over from in the Vegas area to be a GM to pretty much establish and run this situation here. I've been in there checking it out, and it's moving. I like the environment. I've been having some good feedback and everything on it. So I want to make sure again that Mr. Capers, piggybacking what Brian also iterated, that Mr. Capers make sure we do not miss this buck here. So again, I want to say thank you all, Rosie's and your team, and also the council member and the citizens of the town of Dumfries, as we move forward in a great direction to bring things to Dumfries and not have people drive through Dumfries. So again, thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Pete, for your passionate comments. All right, I think I given everybody.
Always.
Say again?
As always.
Okay. I think I've given everybody an opportunity to speak once on this presentation. I think I saw Vice Mayor, you had some additional remarks. Go ahead.
I just have 3 quick questions I want to roll off and ask you all to address. The first one is, as far as the park is concerned, will the town incur any cost to maintain that, or is that something that you will maintain? The second question is, as far as the crime is concerned, that is a constant topic of conversation amongst people who associate negativity with any type of gaming facility, whether it's a full-fledged casino or a gaming facility. So please address that, those myths and misnomers around crime associated. And then lastly, as far as the residential impact is concerned, where the landfill is, as you know, someone who lives in the neighborhoods, the neighborhood surrounding, so we're looking at Grayson Village and Tripoli Heights. I know that on the diagram, it showed the parking structure as a buffer between what Ms. Speller referred to as maybe, noise and lights for Grayson Village, but what about for Tripoli Heights? Because if we're talking about lights, in a park facility and things of that nature, is there anything in place or planned that will act as a buffer for those residents so that they don't have to be bothered by the lights, especially the lights coming from the taller buildings?
Sure, I could take some of those and then some other members of the team can jump in. I'll take the last one first. So as part of our process, we like to do what we call the listening tour, and that starts with the community meetings and frankly tonight's session with you is to understand what are the concerns of the residents that are in the area. We early on heard that the issues with the mobile home park is trying to buffer them from many of the activities as much as we could, and we did. And if there is concerns of other residential areas with light pollution or noise pollution, we certainly can address those and make sure that we have agreements in place to either do, non-light pollution lighting in that area, make sure our sound decibels are below, acceptable levels, and make sure that we enter into an agreement as we move forward. Again, we're just in the process now of engaging the community and understanding those issues. As it relates to crime, one of the misnomers that you mentioned is the increase in crime. Anytime you bring in the number of tourists that will come to an area like this, you'll certainly have incidents of driving accidents and so forth. But the inclusion of gaming into a community has not proven out to have a significant increase in any types of crime, violent crime, robberies, etc., that oftentimes the business is associated with. And I'm more than happy to share some of those studies that have been done across the country. Certainly there are, again, when you bring in 1 to 2 million people a year into a facility like this, you're going to have things that happen as just normal human interaction. Is even if we're a shopping center or any other development of that nature, you're going to see that same type of crime level. But the things that are sometimes associated with gaming in particular is given a bad reputation to the business, but is frankly just, it's never proven out to be correct. Go back to the first question you had.
There's the cost.
Was that
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it about the
Who's paying for the park?
Yeah, we have to maintain the plan for 10 years, and we have to own it for 10 years. We don't know exactly what we're going to do with it yet, whether it's going to be soccer field or tennis courts or running trails. But we will maintain that facility for the next decade as the owners of that real estate.
I'd like to echo just one thing that Jonathan mentioned. And we've been engaged with staff and really focusing on the guest experience as well as the community. And we've had some preliminary discussions with staff, and I thank them for their insight and leading us to look at some of these solutions in terms of light pollution and sound, and making sure we have proper buffers and that our landscaping is in tune and that we've got sidewalks and pedestrian. Staff has been very accommodating and helping us and very forward with information during this process. It's a very tight schedule we're trying to truncate, and we appreciate all of their support.
And Mayor, if I could just add one thing in to address Vice Mayor Nickerson's question. February 24th, I want to plug this again. February 24th, 7 p.m. will be our community, the first of our community listening sessions, town halls. They will be held virtually. Links will be published, and we'll share those with council so that you can get those out to your constituents as well. The second of those meetings will be held on March 18th at 7 p.m. As well. So please note, please pass that around. You will see publications that have that information in there, but we will facilitate getting you guys the links so that you can share it, at the different community meetings that you're a part of as well.
That's a great point, because I know a lot of people came in, didn't get the opportunity to ask their questions, and this is just a presentation. It's not a question and answer with the public. So that's important to note that Colonial Downs will do a question and answer session with all the public to give you all the opportunity to ask your questions personally to all the developers and the decision makers on the process. So that's a very important to note. Well, I just want to give my remarks before we move on too, and just let you know, I got a call today. It was an interesting call because it was somebody from the west side of Prince William County. They said, Mayor, you all have the opportunity to do something unique that we dropped the ball on some years ago, some 20 years ago. Walt Disney actually was looking at Prince William County, and Walt Disney was going to build some type of Civil War, some type of Disney. And a lot of the people over there kind of fought against it because they wanted to keep it very rural. And if you go over there now, you see a lot of development, a lot of the development and stuff is coming on. So everybody around the county now is watching how we really develop and turn Dumfries into a premier destination place. And it was interesting to get that perspective of how they wish they could have had Walt Disney there and really develop that whole battlefield concept of what they're doing. And so I really appreciated that phone call today to let us know the great value. And I thank you all for really doing this presentation this early, because this level of transparency for the community, I think is very important in this process. We're not even we haven't even presented this to the planning commission and brought it back for us to approve any special use or conditional use permit. You're just presenting this to the public in a way they get the opportunity now to digest it, to be prepared for your February and your March listening sessions, and to be able to answer any questions that they want to bring, from environmental concerns to traffic concerns to crime concerns. And I'm glad that you and your entire team have made yourself available for that. So I do appreciate that level of involvement for a project that's massive, which you're showing to me as the mayor, that you're not just coming in here to try to make money in the community, but you're really trying to partner, hear what the community wants, and then to provide those needs for the community. And I think that's a very emphasis, because too often business developers come and it's all about what they want and what they want to build, and they never take the time to listen to what the community wants and what the community needs. So I commend you. You know, we struggle sometimes with developers trying to get the image and the look because it's not what they want to do. It's not the type of investment they want to make. But you're really making an investment in the community, not only with the amount of money. I mean, you've been open less about a month, a little over a month now, and you came in day one giving out $75,000 in contributions to this community. I was like, what other business do I know that has come into the community? And before you made $1 in this community, you made that type of investment to the community. And the team, you showed me that you were committed to really at that point pouring back into the community when you didn't even make $1, but you put money into this community. You invested in a old shopping center that I don't think had any improvements since the 70s, you know, so we're looking at over 40 years without any improvements. And you made a significant investment of well over $20 million into the shopping center, which everybody around it got very excited. So I have no doubt, looking at your track record over the last 11, 15 years, whatever I think you said in that presentation, looking at the quality of the properties that you get, this is definitely going to create a total lifestyle changes for the type of people that's going to come. And it's going to also complement what we're doing now with our new comprehensive plan in developing our downtown Dumfries and our Main Street, because we're going to be able to attract, I think, the local businesses in a walkable community, bike-ridden community, widened sidewalks that's going to really attract people to want to come to. So I think the offshoot of that, especially with your Rosie's Bucks program or whatever you call it, to be able to have people go to places throughout the town and actually spend that money. I think that is a golden vision, and that's very noble of a company to do. I haven't seen any other business around this surrounding community who's doing that. I don't even know if the people across the water are doing the type of things that you're gonna do here in our community. And so, you know, I welcome this partnership. I welcome the opportunity to hear the feedback that you get from the citizens and the changes and the adjustments you make along the way to really accommodate that. So again, I echo the sentiments of everybody who's spoken here. I think Councilwoman Neville had another comment, and then we're gonna take a quick 5-minute stretch break. Councilwoman Neville.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't sure if you saw my hand up. You were in that pitch, man. So I forgot to ask Ms. Beller or anyone, do you know as of right now how many stories the Rose will be? How many stories the hotel, or what is the highest level?
Stefan, how many stories will the hotel be?
Sure. If my memory serves me correct, and I apologize, it's 5 to 7 stories.
Yeah, it's
Five
five stories of room on top of the convention center. So the 6 total stories.
Convention center, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify, the parking was it outside parking, or was that going to be a parking garage?
It's parking deck, garage.
Parking garage.
Garage, okay. All right, so felt like I had something else, but thank you all for sharing that. And I look forward to your community events as well in March. I'll be available for the one in March. And I just want to reiterate, I look forward to more information on the economic, environmental, impact study and the traffic analysis, as well as an updated diagram to see the circle reflected as far as our Route 1 widening. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
All right. Lisa, do you have any final remarks before we close out this presentation?
Not that I know of, but I will check with everyone. Brent, if you want to make some comments, but I just want to thank you and thank the Vice Mayor and the members of Town Council for listening to us. And we plan to continue to be a great neighborhood partner. Brent?
Yes, I'd echo that. And for the entire team, thank you for allowing us to just giving you our thoughts, and we're looking forward to these next steps. They'll be very important, and we're looking forward to hearing from all of you.
All right. Well, at this time, that concludes that presentation. Before we go into the town's manager's report, we're going to recess for 5 minutes. We'll come back at 9:15. Give you guys a quick stretch break. We still got a meaty presentation to do. Give you a chance that yourselves the chance to get a drink of water. I've been eating chips while you all have been talking away.
No one has seen that, Mr. Mayor. We haven't been watching that.
We didn't see it. We didn't.
You have all you've all got great endurance.
Yeah.
Have a great one. Have a great evening.
All right. Thank y'all for being here.
All right.
All right, council. See you at 9:15, council. 9:15. We will re-adjourn.
Honey, stop barking. Daddy is on a call. I don't know what you barking at.
All right, I got 9:15. We got back. Y'all ready? Yeah, go ahead and swallow what you eat. Welcome back. All right, next on our agenda, you guys do have great endurance, is our town manager report from our town manager, Keith Rogers Jr. The floor is yours to highlight your report.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to get right into the highlights, just a reminder for everyone in the community that the business licenses are available online and the payment due date is March the 1st. So just want to remind everyone that those forms could be dropped off at our town hall location, or they could be mailed in. If you have any questions or need assistance renewing or filling out your new business license, please send us an email to our pio@dumfriesva.gov, and we will follow up with you the same day for business license inquiries. The other highlight I wanted to make is I want to give a special shout out to our Public Works Department. Back in 2019, the council may recall that we had a number of compliance findings related to the town's MS4 program. And our Department of Public Works, under the leadership of Ms. Prevost White, has successfully remediated each of those outstanding obligations related to our audit. And so I can assure the council that our MS4 program is now in full compliance. And we look forward to Ms. Prevost White providing a comprehensive stormwater update to the council at a future meeting. But this was a tremendous effort by her and her staff. And so I just wanted to share that information with council and to congratulate the department on that effort. As council knows, that department, as well as all departments of the town, have been very busy in this pandemic. Council heard earlier this evening about a major development proposal that is coming before us. There's a number of development activities. So Mr. Capers and his department has been working very diligently on all those proposals. And also, well, finally, I just wanted to remind all of the residents and our council members that more winter weather is on the way. So staff has been working diligently to try to make sure that we keep everyone safe. But we just want to remind everybody to stay tuned for latest news alerts from the town, from Code Red, the National Weather Service. And when we announce inclement weather, we understand that people have to travel. But if you do, please plan ahead. If you can, please stay safe and stay home. And we are working to make sure that the right-of-ways are clear and as safe as possible, as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, council, any questions on the town manager's report? Any Councilwoman Neville?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Rogers, for your report, and thanks to the staff. And I just want to start by thanking the police department and the interim chief for this report that breaks down with the information for the call. So I truly appreciate that. So thank you for that information in this report. I guess this is more of a comment. This is something I've wondered for years since establishing a business in town the first time in 2013. I never understood why the deadline for the business license doesn't reflect the deadline for filing taxes. So like for myself, when I file my taxes, that's when my Schedule C is completed. So to me, it just kind of makes sense if our business license deadline reflected that. But that's something as a council, of others feel the same way, maybe we could discuss that further and have it aligned with the tax deadline. Otherwise, I think it's fruitful to state somewhere, what should those businesses do? In the past, I've had to, just write a letter, what my estimate of those finances were. And then when I got around to completing my Schedule C, to turn in the Schedule C. But I think that is something that we may want to look at. So I'm curious to know insight, impact, and opinions of others, including other business owners in our community. So I did have a question under the training and development. It states the Town of Dumfries Police Department made necessary changes to the agency's use of force policy to ensure community values and adherence to all applicable federal, state, and local laws. Could you clarify what the policy was to begin with? Which policy was updated, what it stated in the beginning, and how it was changed?
Yes, ma'am. Council may recall that a number of months ago, the council asked that the chief and I look at our policies and general orders, particularly related to use of force and de-escalation tactics. So the department has been working on those efforts since that time. Right now, they have made some draft updates, and so they are currently pending final review, which will involve a review from our town attorney. And once those changes have been finalized, we can provide council a update on the efforts and the changes that were made.
Is this policy change something the council would vote on, or can we be kept abreast with Ms. Pandak's updates?
I think this was wasn't this initiated by the vice mayor, I guess, sometime back? I remember this coming up before. Vice mayor brought up this use of force policy thing. Sharon Pandak, can you please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Once we've completed that review, as Mr. Rogers says, we can provide a summary that speaks as to the significant differences to council.
Thank you. That would be helpful. Thank you. And last but definitely not least, I was excited to see the preview commercial for the Black History celebration on Saturday. And I tip my hat to Ms. Ragland yet again for constantly doing an amazing job of pivoting with her position during this pandemic. So that's all I have, but thank you, thanks to your staff. And I'm really excited about the police report, and I look forward to tuning in to the virtual Black History celebration on Saturday. Thank you.
Yeah, how can people tune in?
It will be live on the town's local access PEG channels or Verizon and Comcast, as well as live on our YouTube channel at 11 a.m. this Saturday, February 20th.
Council, are there any other questions for the town manager's report? Vice Mayor, I see your hand.
Thank you. So Councilwoman Neville led in with one of the questions I was going to ask about the use of force and de-escalation policies. That is an initiative that I brought forth to the council a few months ago. I'm happy to have received the status update. I look forward to what has changed. For me, because I am not very familiar with everything that was said in the policy prior to my request, but the point that was made when the request was initiated was to ensure that we look at the use of force policies and look at the de-escalation techniques and really just evaluate whether or not use of force and de-escalation were the primary responses to situations. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the feedback from what was changed. And I would like, for ease of reference, to see where things changed. I don't want to just read the whole policy like it's a book. My attention span is not that long. I just want to know what changed, what was made better as a result of the review. The other thing I wanted to ask is about this police department report. This is a hefty 32-page report. And I looked through it. I looked just about line by line. And when I finished looking at this report, the question that I was left with was, what am I looking at here? I can appreciate that it is a police department report. I'm having a hard time understanding, what am I looking for here? What is the value add here? This to me looks like a list of, oh, on this day, there was a suspicious person on Grand Park Boulevard and Anna Torres responded. And then what? Like what? I don't know where the request for this particular information originated. If I missed it, my apologies, but I really want to understand what this is. Why am I looking at it? And should I look forward to seeing 32 pages worth of line items every month now? That's my question.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I believe in the last two meetings that we've had with the town manager's report, I've been asked to provide more detail in the police report. I share your concern, which is why we had transitioned from what information that was previously provided. My commitment to this council has always been to provide accurate information. And so there was a time where their supplement or an attachment was not provided as we found some inconsistencies with the data that was provided. So because of council's request, there was not time to format a report that I think would be meaningful at this juncture. So the raw data was provided. However, the staff and I are working on a more qualitative report that I think will be more meaningful to the council and the community. But in the meantime, I just did not want to be negligent with the requests that were made at the previous council meetings.
Thank you. I look forward to it being more meaningful.
Okay, Councilman Pete and then Councilman Brown.
Okay, on the report, I just have, you know, as you guys always know, I am a big safety first guy. So I'm speaking on this public safety. Town manager, you and I have spoken a couple of times, and you delivered on them all. But while being out there, while we're having those ice storms and the ice storms and those snowstorms, we understand that a lot may have to stay in town if they are home or zooming like that. But there are a number of, I actually met you out there one time. There are a number of citizens that have to go to work during those early hours. And if we're able to, because the trucks are out there, so if they can sand salt the roads 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I think that will help us. As to where I witnessed myself a 360 at the conjunction of the where the Connies is at. And then again, and you know, then an hour later the trucks were out. Then what was it, 2 days later, the ice storm that came through, the more serious one, I whipped a little quick fishtail myself coming out of Port of Dumfries. Also going towards Grand Park Road, right in front of the fire department, there's a little small stream of bamboo, little bamboo wood line right there. When they get wet or heavy, they tend to drift over into a lane. As well as on the main side, I do a lot of moving around in here, walking around, riding around, biking around, coming on Main Street, coming up under the 95, going towards the town where you have the stop signs, first stop sign. There's another set of bamboo trees right there that they really hang over all the way close to the yellow line. I seen a PWC officer out there trying to knock the ice off and cut them down. If we can look into that right there also. And then, you know, last but not least, for me with the town manager report for public safety is to see if we can, before we come into person, to see if we can come up with the building and town council safety plan. As to where today, out of nowhere, I had no clue of why my coworker made a joke with me, and maybe he was serious, but I took it as a joke to be serious. Hey, Sean, I just went into your council and I just pulled out on you. And it just made me think we don't have any metal detectors or anything like that that would protect our citizens. So that's why I'm at with the public safety right there. If we can just look into maybe purchasing a metal detector so we can secure the safety of the inside of the building. Because I'm big on the safety for all of us, and even including our citizens. All right, and so that's all I have for the town manager report.
Thank you, Councilman. Just a couple of comments in response. You are absolutely right about the care of the right-of-ways. The last couple storms have been a little unique as they involve mixed precipitation, which makes pre-treatment extremely difficult. Ice presents a unique challenge when you're trying to keep cars from sliding or being slippery. And I often find that the sidewalks and places where you actually walk are more dangerous in a ice related storm than even the roadways. So typically after a storm, just not to go into great detail about the protocols, but typically as we're preparing for a storm, we will share an update, of the weather forecast to let everyone know that we've activated our winter storm prep. And so from that time, the time we activate, we have staff on call 24 hours, and they are able to respond. However, the timing of certain precipitation and whether we're able to pre-treat or just post-treat really has to do with the type of precipitation. And snow is kind of, I don't want to call it cut and dry because it's snow, but we can pre-treat, it falls, then we can remove it. Ice is a challenge because typically that has mean that it is rained beforehand. So pre-treatment would be totally ineffective. So we are working, and I would say also this has been a unique weather season because the consistent low temperatures that go teeter around freezing also have an impact on that. But going into the next year or the next season, we'll make sure that we provide council an update on all the tools and strategies that we have so we can help communicate and get the message out for our residents. Because sometimes, as you probably have noted from VDOT, the very best thing to do, unfortunately, in an ice storm, we know everyone isn't able, but it is to stay off the roads because they need constant attention. Additionally, I ride to town as well, usually before and after a storm. So those areas that you mentioned with the vegetation, we're going to try to take a look at those and see what can be done with those in advance. Even though winter weather is impending on us tomorrow, we're going to see what we can do about those areas of vegetation. And please, if anybody notices any area that is a hazard at the time, just let me know and we'll get right to it. When we activate, we're working 24 hours a day. So if you notice an area that there's an issue or a potential hazard, please let me know. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So I don't mind getting that message no matter what time it is.
Is there a specific time that that the county pre-treats the road? Because as I leave the town at night, looking to see if we're pre-treated, or wake up early for something 5 in the morning to see if we're pre-treated for the safety of our citizens. I see that sometimes we're not pre-treated and that the main roads are. And I know that that's typical for the main roads to be pre-treated in the 95 highways intersection and then moving into the community. But is there a way that we can be close to somehow on the same page? Because even with the snow or ice, whatever the precipitation may be. Well, I understand the rain and then overnight, but a lot of times when it rains, it freezes overnight during the what is it, dawn, during the dusk hours. Yeah. So around that 4 o'clock window, as I'm out there, and the VDOTs are hitting the mainstream, can we mandate our roads to be sanded and salted during those time frames a little earlier also? Because I monitored 2 times where they were round about the 8, 9 o'clock windows when the trucks would get out there. For the residents that have to leave out and go to work, that do have to go to work, some security, some nurses, some and other occupations, that are we able to make sure that they're leaving out of the town safely, being that we have pre-treated our roads? Can we get our trucks out there 4 in the morning? There's not much going on at that time. I'm out there. Just want to know if we can mandate our trucks to get out there a little earlier versus waiting on the daylight, because daylight is too late. We got accidents then, or we got close to accidents then. I'm out there.
Sure. Let's reconnect offline just to walk through what the operations are, because we are out there before the sun is up. So I just want to make sure we get, that I address your specific concerns. And if there's areas that need some additional attention, we have a list of areas that we kind of have. We're always watching for because of the nature, whether it's the elevation and things of that nature. So I just want to talk about that, and maybe you can tell me where some of these, maybe there's some hot spots that we are not missing that we need to make sure we add. So if we can connect offline, then we can make sure we get that taken care of. And as you all may know, we're getting ready to activate again later this week. So I want to make sure we do that. Maybe we can connect tomorrow to make sure we get a jump on that before this week's end.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because I absolutely want to do a follow up on the that water that runs out of that back by the apartments, that and the water streams all the way down to the Connie. That whole slab turns into ice. So yeah, definitely we can sit down tomorrow sometime that's convenient for you, and we go over this.
Okay, and just a quick note about safety. I think it would be best to provide a briefing to the council in a closed session about what the safety protocols are, if that's permissible with Ms. Pandek. But there is a protocol that we have in place, and we have looked at upgrading that. And so we have the chief is working with a consultant to make recommendations on upgrades. So we would like to present that to council at a future meeting soon. And additionally, in terms of the security of just the office building, the office workspaces are all secured spaces. So there's no public access without someone allowing entry that is a staff person. So, but I would like to get that on a future agenda to brief the council and hear council specific feedback so that we can, any necessary upgrades, we can make sure that we plan for those in the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll meet tomorrow and discuss this stuff, and then bring the goodies back to council.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay, Councilman Brown, and then Councilwoman Miles.
So, Mr. Rogers, the police report. I didn't know what to expect. I don't know what was the purpose of the police report. I find it, as Vice Mayor has found it, to be somewhat overwhelming when it comes to what I'm looking at. I do have some ideas, but again, I did not suggest or request the police report. However, my conversation with you earlier, I just want to make it public that this police report that I thought I was going to get should be more of a trend line for me to kind of make some sense out of it. For example, some demographics based upon the stops that happened within that month, whether it's demographics on ethnicity, race, or whatever. The data is fine, but I'm not going to look at the data. However, as I suggested earlier, the acting chief of police should be pretty in sync with what's going on with this report. And I don't know if that rests on your shoulders or his shoulders, but one of you should be able to dissect this and give us an analysis of this data versus just giving us the data. Specifically, what I would like to see is a baseline from where we started this year and categorized by different types of cases, and then by demographics, so we can see where we started and we can see where we end at the end of the year and see if we had any efficiencies or increase in areas where we need to spend or focus more time on. There's been a lot of comments about the acting chief doing a good job, and I don't know what that is. So it's not my job to hold him accountable for what I don't know what's going on, but this police report can kind of give me some kind of basis to understand, is he making the community any safer, or any kind of the types of crimes going down or going up? Is he focusing energy in those areas? I can't see that from this report. So things like that would help me in determining how well we are actually functioning as a police department. This police report probably took about 5 minutes to run, come from a database. They just spit it out. So again, it doesn't give me a lot of understanding of what is really happening in the community. And I don't think putting this on the website would give any of our citizens any kind of information that they can really digest. So we can talk offline on some other suggestions, but again, I did not recommend a request report, and I don't want to take the driver's seat here, but if you're going to give us a report, those are some of the things that I would like to see.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Miles.
Thank you, Mayor. Not to belabor the point, but just piggybacking off of what Councilman Pete is saying about the treatment of the roads. This is a conversation that I can, not to crash y'all meeting or anything, but I would like to sit in on this conversation on public safety. Just wanting to understand how the roads are being treated, because if we're treating the roads with brine generally stays good for a couple of days. So we treat our roads even a day or two before. That would help with the ice when it does turn ice. If it rains and we've treated the roads a day before and we've had brines in the roads, because it sucks into the roads and it stays there. So I'm wondering, just trying to get some understanding of how that process works, if we've in fact treated the roads. Is something being done, if we're not using brine, if we're using something else to treat the road, which is, I know that's what the county uses, and I know that's what they use on the base in Quantico. So just trying to get some more understanding of what exactly we're doing with the roads that, you know, they're not treated or it's not lasting as long. So I do look forward to having a conversation with you about what that looks like. And that's all I have for right now.
Absolutely. I'd love to have that conversation. But just wanted to note that we have not experienced a high incident of accidents or anything related to our roads not being treated. We can always get better, but I just wanted to make that be clear that we have not experienced influx or incident about our roads not being safe. With the last couple storms, by the time that the storm passes through, the impediment, whether it be snow or ice, usually in that next day where it rises above freezing, the incident is resolved through mother nature. But this is, I guess maybe I get a little more excited than maybe Jonay and public work staff, but I'd love to have that conversation with you, and we can always get better. So I'll follow up with you tomorrow as well, Councilwoman.
Before I make my comments, did anybody else have any comments? All right, I wanted to low-hanging fruit. I see that we have in your report staffing for the public safety, and staffing, it says current staffing levels, 10 sworn, including the chief, 2 recruits in the academy, and 1 administrator. Would that make us fully staffed in our current police department, or are there police vacancies?
Well, there's technically 2 vacancies, the chief position and another officer. So we're very, very close. The reason why we are not absolutely at our max is because we wanted to at least let the recruits progress to a point where they're close to graduation. As you all heard at the beginning of the pandemic, our academies have had some issues maintaining classes due to COVID-19. So we just wanted to get some more assurances about the 2 recruits that we have before we kind of fill that other vacancy.
All right, so staffing for the administrative department, because there's nothing in the report on that. Are there current vacancies in our admin department, or is our admin department fully filled?
There are no vacancies in admin other than the town clerk.
Okay, so town clerk and admin is a vacancy. All right, planning and community development, staffing?
There are no vacancies.
All right, no vacancies there. And what about public works?
There's 1 vacant position for a permit inspector.
All right, so in town, we currently have we have 4 vacancies, two vacancies in the police department, 1 in the town clerk and 1 in public works.
That's correct.
All right. Have we kind of been briefed already on the 2 developmental proposals that are concurrent for conditional use permits in the planning and community development department? Oh.
So if I may, Mayor, I want to take a step back. So I try to provide the information that council has instructed me that you all want to see. So the land use application information that's in the report is to give a sense of what the staff has been working on. So the conditional use permits they come before council pretty much on the legislative schedule. So the report is not going to necessarily sync up with a council agenda. So I just wanted to get that. It's more so about the applications that come in to give an idea of the volume that's being brought in for the reporting period. It's not a reflection of what council may see on legislation. Any development application has staff work before we bring it to council to schedule a public hearing and set forward the legislative process, refer it to planning commission and those sorts of things.
Okay. So no. The answer there is no. We haven't seen it yet, right? All right. So any other questions before we move on to the agenda? All right. Seeing none, that concludes the town manager report. All right. Next on our agenda, we're going to move into our action items. First action item is an ordinance to amend Chapter 70, Section 70-1, Section 70-13, and Section 70-14, Divisions 15 and 16. Mr. Capers.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the Town Council. My name is Will Capers, and I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development with the Town of Dumfries. For tonight's staff presentation for this action item for the approval of an ordinance to make changes to Chapter 70 of the Zoning Code, I would like to introduce the newest member to the Department of Planning and a new staff member to the Town of Dumfries family. Please join me as we welcome the Department of Planning and Community Development Planner, Mr. Nick Cicero, who will be providing a staff report for this item. Mr. Manager already allowed Mr. Cicero in the main meeting room, and Mr. Cicero will provide the staff report at this time.
Thank you so much for that, for the introduction, Director Capers. Mr. Town Manager, would you allow me to please share my screen? Alrighty, everyone. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the Town Council. My name is Nick Cicero, and I'm the planner for the DPCD for the Town of Dumfries. This evening, staff will present a staff report for the Town of Dumfries Town Council to adopt amendments to the Town of Dumfries zoning ordinance. On January 19th, 2021, the Town Council adopted amendments to the comprehensive plan, which included modifications to the land use chapter, specifically as it pertains to the Main Street Small Area Plan. To facilitate the goals of the comprehensive plan, the Town Council initiated several zoning text amendments to Chapter 70 of the Town Code. The zoning text amendments presented in this report will include amendments to Section 70-1 definitions, to add 4 new housing type definitions and the definition of floor to area ratio, Section 70-13 off-street parking to establish regulations for shared parking within the Main Street Small Area Plan, Section 70-14 signs to establish guidelines for the approval of sign permits within the Plain Main Street zoning district, and finally to establish a new residential zoning district, Division 15, residential off Main Street, or R-OMS, and to establish a new mixed-use zoning district, Division 16, the Plain Main Street District, or the PMSD zoning district. The comprehensive plan amendments establish new land use activity within the Main Street Small Area Plan directly along and immediately adjacent to the Main Street corridor, which I will be pointing to with my mouse. The new land use designations are designed to provide a variety of new housing types and to create neighborhood scale mixed use development along the Main Street corridor. To facilitate the vision and goals set forth in the Main Street Small Area Plan, the plan established 2 new zoning districts to regulate land use and development within the limits of the Small Area Plan. The planned Main Street District, or the PMSD, is intended to create a sense of place by encouraging mixed-use development and an urban center design concept in the area and allow for a greater variety of uses in the current B2 zoning district allows, as shown in this figure. Specific design standards include buildings are intended to be mid-rise, a range of uses to activate the ground floor area is permitted. Permitted ancillary uses include places of assembly, public utilities, and libraries. The maximum FAR is 3.0. As for the residential off Main Street district, or the R-OMS, the residential off Main Street zoning district, R-OMS, will allow for an increase in density for residential dwelling units. It allows for an expansion of housing types while preserving and enhancing the current housing stock in the R2 zoning district, as shown in this figure. So everyone can see. Design standards include medium density residential uses. Permitted ancillary uses include places of assembly, public utilities, and libraries. And the minimum lot area is 7,500 square feet, and the maximum density is 12 dwelling units per acre. The proposed zoning text amendments include new definitions to section 70-1, the zoning code, that establishes new housing types and design standards that are permitted in the R-OMS zoning district. The new housing types include 3-plex, 4-plex, and courtyard cottage house. The amendments to the zoning ordinance will also add the definition of floor to area ratio, which is defined as the ratio of the total constructed floor area, including all floors in all buildings, to the total land area of any given parcel. The concept of FAR is shown in this figure. The proposed zoning text amendments includes code modifications to the minimum off-street parking section, specifically to regulate off-street parking for uses permitted in the PMSD zoning district. These new standards allow for flexibility in meeting the parking requirements through the design of mixed-use development and shared parking standards. The proposed zoning text amendments also include amendments to Chapter 70-13 of the Town Zoning Code. This diagram outlines the process for obtaining sign permits in the PMSD zoning district. First, the creation of a master sign plan in accordance with the Architectural Review Board design guidelines that is subject to the approval of the Architectural Review Board. The size of each sign and total area of sign shall be consistent with the character of the building and the character of the historic district. A minimum clearance of 10 feet over any pedestrian area is required. And finally, the application is subject to final zoning administrator approval and conformance with the zoning ordinance process. The proposed zoning text amendments as provided in this report will further facilitate and enhance the goals set forth in the comprehensive plan. As such, staff recommends approval of the proposed amendments to Chapter 70, Town of Dumfries zoning ordinance of the Town Code. Furthermore, on its regular scheduled meeting on February 8th, 2021, the Town of Dumfries Planning Commission recommended that the Town Council adopt the amendments to the zoning ordinance. This completes my presentation. I'm joined by the Director of Planning and Community Development, Will Capers. We are happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for that presentation, Nick. Council, any questions from that thorough presentation from Mr. Nick that he just gave us? Mr. Brown. You have to unmute. There you go.
Yeah, I have to unmute. Thank you, Mayor. So my understanding is the changes that are being brought forth, they're based upon the comprehensive plan. Were these modifications or these are new items being injected into the code?
So Mr. Councilman Brown, if you look at the comprehensive plan as a guide, it's a guide to how to manage land use activity in the town, and in order to facilitate this guide and to regulate it and enforce it, it has to be incorporated in the zoning ordinance. So the zoning ordinance changes that Mr. Cicero presented to you this evening is to essentially facilitate, there are new changes to help facilitate the changes that we made to the comprehensive plan, specifically in the Main Street area plan. So all of the goals and recommendations that council adopted with the comprehensive plan, these changes will facilitate and will regulate, if you will. It's the statutory regulations that will help facilitate the goals of the plan. I hope I got that right, Ms. Pandek.
And these changes were based on any state regulations, or is simply what the town deemed necessary for the comprehensive plan?
These recommendations, these changes to the zoning ordinance, again, is to facilitate the goals of the comp plan for the Main Street area plan. But all ordinances, as you know, is all, it's required to be in compliance with state code. So it's follow state code. However, it's a local ordinance to facilitate the goals of the plan.
Councilman Fields.
Mr. Capers, I forgot the young man's name, but Nick, great presentation. I may be a little ahead by asking this question, but in the future or at this time, what developers of interest, or do we have any developers of interest? And if so, don't name them right now. I think it's too early for that. But do we have developers of interest that are interested in developing this property for us?
Just a point of clarity, Councilman Fields, the comprehensive plan, the changes to the comprehensive plan was to allow more of a mixed-use style development along Main Street. It's not a comprehensive project that is being conducted by the town. This is to allow individual property owners to develop their property to meet the goals of the comp plan, which includes mixed-use development. So it's not necessarily a comprehensive project that is being managed by the town. It's just to allow developers at their pleasure to redevelop their property in order to allow this sort of development in the future.
Okay, so and essentially we're just being more open and friendly to someone coming in and wants to do upgrades and things to their property, and maybe invite new people to come to town.
If a property owner so chooses, this gives us the opportunity, if a property owner so chooses to develop their property to the standard that's outlined in the comprehensive plan, this allows the town to provide the guidance and the regulatory standards to help facilitate that sort of development in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Were there any further questions? All right. Seeing none, I think I gotta open it up for public comment at this point.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
All right, is there anybody from the public that want to speak to the ordinance to amend chapter 70, section 70-1, 70-13, and 70-14? Please raise your hands or put a comment in the chat if your hand thing isn't working properly, so that we know that you have comments or you have something to say. All right, going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. All right, council, any further discussion before we welcome a motion? Okay, seeing that, I welcome a motion from the floor.
So moved.
Okay. It's been moved by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilwoman Miles.
Yes, second.
That we ordinance to amend chapter 70, section 70-1, 70-13, and 70-14, divisions 15 and 16. Seeing no further discussion, I will call for the question. Councilman Pete.
Yes.
Councilwoman Miles.
Aye.
Councilwoman Neville.
Aye.
Councilman Fields.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
That's a yes for me. The motion carries 7-0 to amend our ordinance. Next action item on our agenda is initiating resolution for zoning text amendment 2021-003 to amend chapter 70 of the town code concerning signs. Mr. Capers.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if you allow me to share my screen.
The floor is yours.
All right. Again, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and all members of the Town Council, Department of Planning and Community Development presents a resolution to initiate amendments to Chapter 70 of the Town Code to permit the use of electronic signs on public property. In accordance to Section 70-646, the Town Council, through resolution, can initiate amendments to the zoning ordinance whenever the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, or good zoning practice is required. This resolution will authorize the Town Council to initiate amendments to Chapter 70 of the Town Code. Specifically, the Town Council will consider amendments to the definition section and the sign section of the code that will add the definition of electronic display sign to Section 70-1, amend Section 70-14 to permit the use of electronic signs for public use on public property. In improving this initiating resolution, the Town Council will authorize the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing to review and make recommendations on these proposed amendments to Chapter 70, Section 70-1, and Section 70-14 of the Town Code. This item will be heard at the Planning Commission regular scheduled meeting on March 8th, 2021. And also in providing this initiating resolution, this will allow the Town Council to hold a public hearing to consider these amendments to Chapter 70, Section -1, and Section 70-14 of the Town Code, as well as the Planning Commission recommendation of these amendments at its regular scheduled meeting on March 16th, 2021. This concludes my presentation of this resolution. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Hey, Council, any questions? I didn't see any hands on this. All right. Councilman Pete, I see your hand in your face, but you're looking down. You're looking down on me.
I'm gonna start using the hand raise button. But I definitely like this. There's not a question, but just want to comment on. I think I actually like this ordinance being in place because we've been trying to get this lifted for some time now, especially with the town of Dumfries sign outside of the town. So I like this.
Okay. Seeing no more comments. Are we scheduling a public hearing or are we actually having a public hearing right now?
Resolution is just to initiate the zoning text amendments and to authorize the town manager to advertise for a public hearing. So there's no public comment period for this particular resolution.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason, some of my action items didn't have those cover sheets on it. So, okay. Don't worry. All right, so we're just what at this point? Making a motion to adopt it. Sorry, any further discussion from the council on this one? All right, seeing none, I welcome a motion from the floor on this one.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved from the vice mayor. Second, who was that? Councilwoman Miles, or was that?
Yeah, that was me.
All right. All right, so motion on the floor is to adopt the initiating resolution for zoning text amendment 2021-003 to amend chapter 70 of the town code concerning signs. On a motion made by Vice Mayor Nickerson, second by Councilwoman Miles. We're gonna call for the question. Councilman Pete?
Absolutely.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Fields?
Yes.
Councilwoman Miles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Neville?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
That's a yes for me. That motion carries 7-0. All right, next on the agenda is initiating resolution for zoning text amendment to amend chapter 70, article 4, site plan of the town of Cole. Mr. Capers, floor is yours. Share your screen.
The second item is a resolution to initiate amendments to chapter 70, article 4 of the zoning ordinance, also known as the site plan provision of the zoning ordinance. And according to section 70-646 of the town code, the town council through resolution can initiate amendments to the zoning ordinance whenever the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practice is required. As previously noted, this resolution will authorize the town council to initiate amendments to the chapter 70, article 4, the site plan guidelines of the zoning ordinance as provided on the screen. Specifically, the town council will consider amendments to the site plan provisions that will designate the director of planning and community development the authority to review and approve site plans as the agent for sites for town council, to establish requirements for the waiver of site plan provisions by the director of Department of Planning and Community Development, and minor editing amendments to Article 4 of the zoning code. In approving this initiating resolution, town council will authorize the planning commission to hold a public hearing to review and make recommendations on these proposed amendments to chapter 70, article 4 of the town code. This item will be heard at the planning commission regular scheduled meeting on March 8th, 2021. Also, in improving this initiating resolution, this will allow the town council to hold a public hearing to consider these amendments to chapter 70, article 4 of the town zoning code as the planning commission recommendation of these amendments at its regular scheduled meeting on March 16th, 2021. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer questions if you have any.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
If I might, I'm terrible at sharing screens, so I don't want to criticize Mr. Capers, but I think he had the next item up on the subdivision. Your presentation is spot on with respect to the issue on the site plans.
My apologies, Mr. Mayor. If you allow me to reshare my screen, I will just keep the correct information on the screen while the council asks staff questions, if that's okay.
Okay. So we just kind of skipped over and went to the, instead of site plan, we did subdivision.
Well, the information that staff provided was correct. It's just the information that was on the screen related to subdivision. The information that's on the screen now relates to site plan.
Got it.
Similar. Right.
All right. All right, any questions? Council? All right. Seeing none, is there a motion to initiate this resolution?
So moved.
Okay. The Vice Mayor.
Second.
Second by Councilman Pete. All right. Motion on the floor is to initiate a resolution for zoning text amendment 2021-002 to amend Chapter 70, Article 5, Site Plan of the Town Code. On a motion made by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilman Pete. I will call for the question. Councilwoman Miles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Neville?
Aye.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Fields?
Yes.
Councilman Pete?
Approved.
Did I ask Councilwoman Neville?
Yes, and she said aye.
Okay, and Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? Myself, yes. All right, motion carries 7-0. All right, next on the agenda is initiating resolution to amend subdivision ordinance, chapter 54 of the town code. Mr. Capers.
All right, thank you again, Mr. Mayor. This resolution will authorize the town council to initiate amendments to chapter 54 of the town code. Specifically, the town council will consider amendments to the subdivision guidelines that will designate the director of planning community development, the authority to review and approve subdivision applications as the agent for the town council, and also to make minor editing amendments to the chapter 54 of the subdivision ordinance. In approving this initiating resolution, the town council will authorize the planning commission to hold a public hearing to review and make recommendations on these proposed amendments to chapter 54, the subdivision ordinance of the town code. This item will be heard at the planning commission regular scheduled meeting on March 8th, 2021. And also in approving this initiating resolution, this will allow the town council to hold a public hearing to consider these amendments to chapter 54, the subdivision ordinance, as well as the planning commission recommendation of these amendments at its regular scheduled meeting on March 16th, 2021. This concludes my presentation, Mr. Mayor. I will be happy to answer any questions you or the council may have at this time.
All right, council, any questions? Okay, if you could unshare your screen for me. All right, were there any questions from council? All right, seeing none, I welcome a motion from the floor.
Move.
All right, moved by Councilman Pete.
Second.
Second by Councilman Fields. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, there's a motion on the floor for initiation resolution to amend chapter 4 subdivision ordinance of the town code. On the motion made by Councilman Pete, second by Councilman Fields. All right, Councilwoman Miles.
Aye.
Councilman Fields.
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Yes.
Councilman Pete.
Approved.
Councilwoman Neville.
Aye.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
That's a yes for me. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Capers and Nick, for your all your hard work in developing our comprehensive plan. All right, next on the agenda is an ordinance to amend the FY21 general fund budget in consideration of the CARES Act funding. Director of Finance, Ms. Kimberly Godwin, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Goodwin. I'm the Director of Finance for the town of Dumfries. Prince William County has paid us $902,769 for CARES Act fund. Of that fund, $71,000 was appropriated in FY20. Currently in FY21, $380,384 has been appropriated to eligible CARES Act fund. $451,385 is remaining to be appropriated.
Hey, council, any questions about the proposed amendment to our FY21 general fund budget to include this funding that's passed through from the county? All right, seeing no question, I welcome a motion from the floor.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved.
Second.
Second. All right, motion made by Councilwoman Miles, second by the Vice Mayor on the ordinance to amend the FY21 general fund budget in consideration of CARES Act funding. Seeing no further discussion, it's a motion made by Councilwoman Miles and second by Vice Mayor. I'm going to call for the question. All right, Councilman Pete.
Approved.
Councilwoman Neville.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miles.
Aye.
Councilman Fields,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Vice Mayor.
Yes.
That's a yes for me. Your motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Kimberly Godwin, and your endurance and your patience here. All right, next on the agenda is a closed session, consultation of personnel matters pursuant to Virginia Code 2.3-3711, Alpha 8. Ms. Pandak.
Mr. Mayor, I think you have it pretty much accurate. It's evaluation of and consideration of amendment to the employment agreement of the town manager, 2.2-3711A1.
All right.
Need a motion, a second, sir.
Okay. Looking for a motion from the floor.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved.
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. All right, any discussion? Seeing none. Councilman Pete?
Approved.
Councilwoman Neville?
Aye.
Councilman Fields?
Aye.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Miles?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
That's a yes for me. Motion carries 7-0. All right, do